This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Welcome one, welcome all to the iRacing Esports Network. We're SimSpeed TV. This is the final round of the International Division of the Majors Series, the California 500. We're going for 250 laps around Auto Club Speedway in the Dallara IR18 IndyCar. We've had 12 rounds of this series so far over the course of the entire year. It's been a very hard-fought championship in many divisions, but it all comes down to this between Will Leslie and Cameron Dance for the Pro Drivers title. My name's Reese Gardner. Joining me in the commentary box is Ryan Jones. And, well, Ryan, this is going to be the last time we gear up for majors for this year. And we've come to quite a special place, this gigantic super speedway in Fontana, California.
Yeah, we certainly have Auto Club Speedway. It is 2 miles in length. It is pretty much the longest you can get without being classed a proper super speedway. But in these cars, it is going to be flat out. And you can see it's quite close to Los Angeles. It is, you know, probably within driving distance for LA residents and a very popular racetrack. But it's going to be revamped soon, and it will no longer be this giant 2-mile facility. It's going to be a short track, which will be interesting. But right now, it is 2 miles, and it was first opened in 1997. The banking is deceivingly not that big. Because the track is so wide, Reese, it is flat out.
Absolutely. Incredibly wide circuit here at Auto Club, and it's going to be starting off in afternoon conditions, so the drivers will have to deal with the setting sun as they race. This track is something like 5, 6, 7 cars wide, and it's got an awful lot of racetrack to use throughout. That is the exit of the final turn, and you can see there's an awful lot of space to use. But like you say, Ryan, that banking not as big as would be expected. So these open wheelers, it's pretty much the perfect high-speed track for them. IndyCars like those low-banked ovals.
They do. and opens up the multi-groove racing as well. And the dirty air is so prevalent in these open wheel cars, in IndyCar racing. Being able to drive into clean air and not just lose time automatically from taking the long route around the racetrack is a big help to improving the actual racing we're going to see out there on the racetrack today. Over 250 laps where we're going to decide a champion in all 4 of our categories.
Indeed we are, and speaking of, probably a good idea to check out how the standings stack up coming into this final round. And the first would be for the Pro Drivers' Championship, and currently Will Leslie in the lead by 6 points over Cameron Dance. Those guys are pretty much the only ones in contention here. Harold Stadler is within range on points, but he has to deal with a drop round, so there's no chance that Harold Stadler is going to advance any higher than 3rd in this final round. But basically, the situation is, if Will Leslie retires from this race, Cameron Dance will win the championship if he finishes 10th or better, and if Cameron wins the race and Will finishes behind him, well, Cameron's going to win by 4 points. It's basically a case of whoever finishes ahead there up in the top 2 is the champion.
Interestingly, neither of them are drivers I'd peg for favourites to take out the victory today. With it being an oval race, haven't seen either of them perform fantastically. Will Leslie, I'd say though, probably has the edge at this style of racing. Cameron's definitely got it all to do in this one, especially at practice times, anything to go by. But while we are fighting for that Pro Drivers' Championship, we've also got sportsmen to consider, and that is still alive. Stephen Williams and Gavin Barber have 76 points separating them, 1st and 2nd. It's not as close as Pro, but definitely still a potential for a change there, as they are both in the session. Importantly, I just checked that to make sure, but they're both here, and they'll fight it out.
Absolutely they will, and Stephen Williams has done a really good job to hold on to that lead for the majority of the season. Gavin Barber as well, keeping himself up there, but it's going to be an interesting fight between them. I think if Gavin Barber wants to win this one, he has to put quite a bit of distance between himself and Williams on the racetrack. The third kind of Drivers' Championship we got here is the Legends Championship for drivers over 50, and that has been decided in Harold Stadler's favour. Got a great finish at the Bathurst 500 in the previous round, and in the 1968 US Grand Prix, the Lotus 49 at Watkins Glen, Harold Stadler took a dominant victory, so that's really helped him in the Pro Drivers standings and here in the Legends as well. Daniel Stevens doesn't have much of a chance to make up that gap. And Wayne Taylor there in P3 in the Legends standings. Unfortunately, he has had to miss out on a potential award. Here in the majors, we've got the Iron Man award for drivers that compete in every single round. And Mr. Taylor was on the verge of doing every single round this season, but thanks to a broken finger, he is unable to race tonight. So big commiserations to you, Wayne, but it looks like you've secured 3rd in the Legends standings, at least.
Yeah, that's a big shame. It's a massive effort, isn't that? Because this calendar runs over the entire year, pretty much. But sometimes things just don't pan out. He's solidified 3rd, though, so that's a fantastic result for him in that Legends group, as you point out. Teams fight. Well, we saw heading into Bathurst, it was a pretty big spread across the top of all the categories. Still 429 points between Kinetic International and MF Racing Pro. I think mathematically it's possible, but realistically I don't think so.
Yeah, and I'd agree, because we say it almost every round how Kinetic pulls out all the stops to get the maximum amount of points in this series. MF Racing have put up a great fight over the course of the season. You know, drivers like Daniel Stevens driving for that team. But yeah, that's going to be a very difficult gap to make up here at Auto Club Speedway. We got to remember, though, the MF Racing drivers are generally quite good at ovals, so there's certainly potential for a fight there. And Texsense Fitstyle Motorsport and everyone back from them, no chance of advancing forward and taking the team's title. But for the second kind of team's championship we've got in the pro standings, I believe. It's actually been decided, I reckon, in advance of MF Racing Sports. It's the Premier Team Championship. My apologies. It's been a very long year, Ryan, as I'm sure you can imagine. But MF Racing Sports, with a dominant lead there over MF Racing Casual, they have secured it.
How many rounds has it been, Reese? And you can't remember the name of the category.
Well, it's what? It's only been like
rounds.
what? Well, we'll add another 20 onto that because I've been commentating this series for a season already. So, doing a very good job in the commentary box, I am, and doing an excellent job out on track, showing us what happens when a mistake is made there. It looks like that is Cameron Dance, who one of our championship protagonists here tonight. The driver's out in the practice session at the moment.
Talk about that, Reese, because that wasn't his mistake. So I mentioned earlier that, him and Will Leslie, they're not guys I'd expect to win this. They don't need to win. They need to beat each other. But if they're running mid-pack, it's so easy to get collected in someone else's drama. And that's exactly what happened for Cameron Dance there. I think it was Ilya Shamov just drifted up the track into him. So they've got to be so careful not to get caught up in something that they don't need to today. Because over the course of 250 laps, there is so much that could go wrong. And, well, they do have their fast repair available to them, their spare car, if you will, but as we always say, if you're going to have to use it, make sure you take it late in the race and you don't get forced into taking it in the first quarter of the race, because otherwise you're tippy-toeing around for the rest of the road.
You absolutely are. So the drivers will have to keep that in mind as we see Fraser Ross and Harold Stadler trading places here. Oh, there we go. There's another example of what can go wrong. In the middle of a turn at Auto Club, Fraser Ross sent tumbling over, and that was only very light contact between himself and Harold Stadler on the exit of the corner. And hopefully we'll be able to see what the drivers are dealing with in terms of sunlight here. Look at that. That is almost blinding, and that sun is just going to get lower and lower in the sky. So I reckon about the first third of the race at least is going to have quite a bit of a visual distraction down the back stretch. But through the corners, you could see that these drivers are having a bit of trouble keeping the front end locked down because there's a lot of aero push at these speeds in these cars. Very easy to drive around this place on your own, but once you've got a car in front of you, you have to think about your tires, you have to think about the way your aero is performing, you have to think about when you want to come in for a stop, because according to the information we've been given, the undercut on tires is very powerful.
Yeah, I can imagine it will be. They will have to be lifting off as they get into the run, so you can blaze out there on your fresh rubber. You'll pick up a lot of time, but you will find the deficit on the other end of the stint. So it's not quite as simple as just, okay, I'll pit early and I'll win the race. 10 sets of tyres available to them. Should be a 7-stop race if we go green, but I wouldn't put any bets on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either, but it's going to be a surprise either way. Checkered flag falls in the practice session, and now we're going to move on through to the race, supporting the Susan G. Komen Foundation, this time round in the Majors Series, capping off the season with support for a breast cancer charity. Here is the way that the grid lines up for the final round of the International Division of the Majors Series. It's Jake Fox on pole with Will Leslie, the championship leader, alongside him. Dean Mole for Kinetic International lines up third alongside Fraser Ross. Cameron Dance, fighting Will Leslie for the title, starts in fifth. He has to finish ahead of Leslie to win, remember. Daniel Stevens joins him on the third row. Oliver Silva and Harold Stadler on the fourth row, and the top 10 rounded out by Thomas O'Leary and Avatar Auto Racing's Shane Bowen.
Dwayne Burns, also from Avatar, will start 11th ahead of Texense, Fitzstyles, Jack Stiles, Matthew Clowett, and Jonathan Bain share row 7 for MF Racing ahead of Luke Critchley and Gavin Barber of MF Racing Sports. Phil Otto, 17th, and Stephen Williams, 18th, all DPR on row 9. Matt Andrews and Pierre Cousin are your top 20. 4 more cars on the grid. Bradley Matheson, Craig Hawkins, Ilya Shamov, and Neil McCall make up your 24 cars for the California 500.
And away we go. The drivers moving out of the pits, and here are the conditions. It's a reasonably warm track temperature, same as the air temperature, but both of those are going to plummet when the sun goes down, and the drivers will likely have a lot more grip available to them, but the car will be operating on a bit more of a knife edge. They have to be very careful about that. Not much wind either, so they're not going to be affected a huge amount in a straight line. And as you can see, 250 laps, 500 miles. And you do say, Ryan, that we have a potential 7-stop race here, but when the safety car comes out, and it inevitably will, that's going to be thrown out of the window. If we get too many cautions, the drivers are going to have to be really careful about the sets of tyres that they're using.
They certainly will, because tyres are going to be so important. As we spoke about, you're going to want to pit when a caution comes out to get some fresh rubber. You can afford to do it a couple times, but give it a few cautions and you'll have to start compromising. But here we go, Reese.
Here we go indeed. Up to the pits comes the pace car, and on pole is going to be Jake Fox leading them away here. It's an all-kinetic front 2 rows, and they are away. Green flag for the final round of the International Majors Series for 2020. It's a great start from Jake Fox. He's pulling ahead there of Will Leslie as they come down the front stretch into turn 1. Sticking to the inside, Dean Moll and Cameron Dance, who's starting to advance forward. Fraser Ross has to leave them some room and flit back down to the bottom. Seeing some great advances from Thomas O'Leary. He's trying to put a move on Daniel Stevens and Oliver Silva coming into the third turn. And oh, I just saw a big plume of smoke. I think that might have been a driver up ahead, Fraser Ross, having a technical issue.
It was, and so Will Leslie will lead lap 1. Jake Fox falls to third, and Dance looking on his outside. Ross is down on the bottom at the moment, and already all of these drivers will be lifting out of the throttle. They won't be going flat out all the way around this track as they work the draft and the slipstream and try to get a slingshot, which is what Dean Moll's just done to take the lead of the race back away from his teammate and Leslie.
And down again on the front stretch. Leslie gets him right back across the start-finish line as they fan out behind. Jake Fox still protecting the outside, but Fraser Ross down on the bottom where the rubber is, looking to try and advance forward, but a little bit of understeer for him as we ride on board with Oliver Silva. That is Cameron Dance going for the move on Fraser Ross, but Ross clips him off down at the bottom. Jake Fox having to go super wide there, 3 wide down the front stretch. This is not a position that Fraser Ross will want to be in.
A little bit of an inexperienced move, that one from Ross. He didn't have the momentum, and you can see how that hurt him on the exit all the way back towards the next set of corners. He loses out to Harold Stadler as well. So those are the sort of things you've got to be aware of. You can't just go down and try to make moves willy-nilly. You've got to make sure you've got momentum to carry as there's another change up the front. We're going to see plenty of lead changes today, maybe the most we've seen all season long. And here comes Cameron Dance for second place.
Indeed, that's a great run for Cam, and he's almost on the back of Leslie now, right on board with Leslie, looking back at the field behind. Ilya Sharmov had a spin on the front stretch, and they're about to come up on him down in 24th position. So things are about to get very interesting for our leaders. Cameron Dance continuing to sit behind Will Leslie as there's more moves behind. Ross goes to the bottom. Harold Stadler still trying to defend from Dean Moll, who is starting to lose ground here. He's about to be passed by Oliver Silva and Jake Fox.
When you do work the momentum well on the draft, it is very easy to make moves. Illustrated already by Ross. Remember how he fell? Well, he's back into third already. You're on board with Cameron Dance now, in and amongst the aero screen. To his left, he's now got Ross. You can't see that. He'll see it out of his mirror. He'll look to the left as well. And Ross just has to feather the throttle coming out of the corner to avoid sliding up the racetrack. Let's see what Shamov does here. He should just slot in. When we do get cautions, there are wave arounds if you're in front of the race leader.
Well,
there's no free pass though, so what he will hope for here, Reese, is caution comes out, he's the only car a lap down, but everyone pits. He's able to then cycle back in front of the race leader. He'll get a wave round before they go back green.
Yeah, well, that's what Shamov will be hoping for, but he is getting passed left, right, and centre by the field as they advance through. And it looks like it might be a move for second here, because coming up on Cameron Dance is Fraser Ross on the outside. A great run from Harold Stadler as well, getting the double draft and almost getting into the back of his TechSense Fitstein Motorsports teammate. Will Leslie now in a bit of trouble for the lead, because Fraser Ross is going to come up over the top, and we've got a caution out. That's a big spinner in the back coming out of the second turn. That's Stephen Williams and Bradley Matheson who have been involved in that.
That car has taken quite a whack, and Fraser Ross, I think, will be scored as the race leader. He just nosed ahead before the yellow flew. Here's your Motor Simulation replay. Williams down on the low side of the racetrack.
Oh,
Grabbed the apron. Yeah, grabbed the apron, and as he tried to catch it, whoa!
Yeah.
Who was that?
Phil
Phil
Otto.
Otto. Man.
Very unfortunate there. An innocent victim there was Phil Otto. He's back in the pits now. Stephen Williams in the pits as well. Here's the onboard view from Otto. There's Williams with the slide, and then correcting contact with Matheson, and up and into the wall goes Phil Otto. Absolutely nothing he could do, caught in the catch fence there. So already at a major disadvantage are Otto and Williams. They're going to have to take their spare car early if they want to keep going. So will Matheson. He's about to come into the pits and get repairs done. It's
very easy to just tickle the apron, especially at this track, because of for such a big track. You know, normally a 1.5 mile speedways, you've got around about 18, 20 degrees of banking, maybe even more. Bristol's got the most of any of them, and that's a short track. You come here, and the banking's relatively low, especially when you compare it to Daytona and Talladega, the 2.5 milers. So the actual transition between racing surface and apron is quite gradual, and so you just sort of, the car naturally goes down towards that apron. You've got to make sure you do not touch that white line, because that's where the transition is hidden. And as Stephen Williams demonstrated, once you touch it, when you're doing 300 kilometers an hour, there is no catching it.
Yeah, exactly. We've got cars coming into the pits meanwhile. Matthew Cloet, Craig Hawkins, and Oliver Silva into the pits. So Silva's stop is done. Hawkins' stop is done. Not many drivers electing to go for a pit stop just yet. Bradley Matheson, meanwhile, has taken his spare car, and he is back out on the racetrack. It looks like Phil Otto still sitting stationary, as is Stephen Williams. I don't think we're going to be seeing those guys out again for a bit.
No, interesting. We should, because of their spare car. But there's an interesting technicality there, isn't there, Reese? Because if you don't have the option to take your spare car when you pit selected, when you decide to tow back to pit lane after a crash, you will not be able to take it. You'll have to go for the damage repairs instead. And if you've got required repairs, as they both will have now, that can be upwards of 30 minutes. So generally, even if you don't intend on crashing and taking your spare car, I generally leave it ticked. And then when I do come in normally, I just untick it, and then it resets itself after you pit anyway. That way, you know, you crash, and heat of the moment, you tow back to pit lane, you don't forget and just ruin your race.
Yeah, exactly. So, obviously, they'll be stuck in the pits for a while. As I say that, actually, Phil Otto has just taken his spare car, and he's back out on the track, so there we go. He's had it selected, and it looks like Stephen Williams has freshened up his car as well, up on the jacks with some fresh bodywork. So, I mean, I said a bit, which is a very general unit of time, so it has been a little bit since they came into the pits. They'll be a couple of laps down, Will Otto and Williams, but they can easily make that back up if they stay out of trouble.
The golden art of commentating, you use the right words and you can never be wrong.
That's it. Exactly right.
We're going to get a restart on this lap as well. Lights out on the pace car. Remember, in IndyCar, it is single file restarts, and you generally see the leader choose to carry them around the very top of the racetrack.
We'll see what they go for this time round, because Fraser Ross indeed staying high. They want to try and get that momentum off the banking to start things off nicely out of the final corner.
Did you hear that in the background?
I did not.
Well, there's some pretty big storms hanging around.
Yes, pace car is in and we're about to get a start here. That's a great start from Fraser Ross, actually. He caught the rest of them sleeping. Slight technical issues on my end for Fraser Ross, but they are now away. Will Leslie second, Dance third, Stadler fourth. Going down to the bottom is Jack Styles, because he's coming under big pressure now from Jake Fox, and it's another huge plume of smoke from Fraser Ross, who I think might be having some internet dramas. That is the move done there, and for the lead, it looks like it's about to really get on, because Will Leslie and Cameron Dance pushing each other very hard in second and third to try and advance forward on Fraser Ross.
Which is made complicated by his issues. I might have to eat my words. With the drafting package, these two are doing quite well. Leslie and Dance. They could be contenders. Oh, that was a little bit wide from Ross there.
Oof.
Very easy to drift out wide and nab the fence as well. Again, another caveat of the relative low banking is coming off of turn 2 onto the flat back straight. The track flattens out, and you're no longer being naturally cradled to the inside, and the car starts drifting towards the fence. You got to make sure you correct that every single lap.
Oh, hello. Jack Styles coming into the pits. That's an interesting choice there. I don't know if his hand was forced, or or it might be a penalty, perhaps, for overtaking before the start-finish line. Yeah, that was a very quick stop there for Jack Styles. Just a stop-and-go penalty for him. But for second on back, it's really on, because Will Leslie leading up this pack. Cameron Dance on the inside, Dean Mole up on the outside. Dance joins him side by side between Harold Stadler and Jake Fox. Have a look at how Fox tries to maintain the momentum round the outside, as we see Mr. Styles come out of the pits alongside them, right in the middle of the pack. So the drivers in the rear half of the field got to make sure that they avoid him as he gets up to speed. Cameron Dance stuck on the bottom, and Dean Mole's got a mother run round the outside. Have a look at him across the line, getting the position over Dance up into third for Dean Mole, and that'll be crucial for Will Leslie. He's got a teammate behind him to try and keep Dance behind.
We'll keep talking about the team tactics as well over the course of this one, because that could definitely play a part as we get further in and towards the end. Leslie might want help from his teammates, Dance might want help from his teammates as well. But, hey, you think iRacing was running a discount sale on blue paint recently?
I think they might have, because blue seems to be a very popular colour in this field. The majority of the top 10 in blue liveried cars, and just look at the speed that these guys are carrying. They're still touching 350 kilometers an hour through the turns, and a huge amount of camera shake too. The forces involved in these Indy cars are just incredible. But wow, Leslie holding off some immense pressure from the drivers behind, and that team game, as you say, Ryan, is going to come into play later on. I mean, have a look at the advance from the pack behind. There's a bit of a gap between two of the groups in the top 10. Stadler starting to fall behind a little bit, with Jack Styles, the lapped car, out there making life difficult for them, as we ride on board with Daniel Stevens, his pursuit of Jake Fox, but he's going to have to defend now from Thomas O'Leary up on his outside.
This has already played out much differently to the initial start, hasn't it? They've all got single file, and they're running pretty comfortably right now. With the exception of this, O'Leary drafting up and around Daniel Stevens, careful with the turn-in. Stevens with the shortest route around the corner, wins out again. Oh, that's a mistake in front of him, and Jack Styles slides down and onto the apron. He catches the car, but that boots him out of the leading pack. Won't cost him any spots, though, because he is a lap down. As already mentioned, here's your replay, thanks to Modem Simulation.
And this happened up on the exit of turn 2. Styles down on the bottom of the circuit, just catching the apron. That white line, the drivers are going to have to be very careful of it because that's where the track really flattens out, really unsettles your car and sends you into a slide. That's what we saw happen to, I think it was Stephen Williams just a little earlier. Jack Styles as well demonstrating that. Daniel Stevens, meanwhile, up into 6th place. That is quite intense.
Up into 6th place and up into Jake Fox's front wing.
Yeah. Oof. So Jake Fox might be...
Let's get a replay on board with Fox here, because I don't know if there was contact or if he backed off and avoided it. Must have been very, very close when he exited turn 4 here.
Well, he had the run on Stevens into the turn, managed to get it done. Stevens moves up. Yeah, there was contact between the two of them. Quite intense there. So Fox losing all of that momentum and an extra position to boot, and looks like he's still far behind. He's actually got 2 cars separating himself and Stevens now, but a tiny bit of contact can make all the difference. Back
when
to
you're
live
running
pictures.
At 350 kilometers an hour as well, it is going to have a massive effect, not only on your performance in a straight line and through the corners. You're going to now suffer a bit of understeer. And I think Fox just found that out the hard way. He whacked the fence coming off of turn 2. So now he's dealing with understeer, and he's probably dealing with some lack of actual outright pace now as well. So he'll want to hang on for a little while until he can get a spare car. But yeah, the lead has changed hands, but Ross is not having any of it. He doesn't want to come back here.
That he will, and great momentum there off the second turn rather, and Leslie falling back into the clutches of the pursuing trio behind. Mole and Dance still involved in their battle, with Cameron just ahead of Mole by half a car length, but Harold Stadler's now coming into the mix here as well, and pressuring for 3rd place. Cameron Dance there having to stay a little bit high of the bottom because Dean Mole was still there. But now down the straight, he's got a great run on Will Leslie. Thing is, it is still very early stages in the race. By the time we finish the next lap, we'll have gone 1/10 race distance. So that's the reason why you're not seeing any huge moves at the moment. The driver's just getting into a rhythm at the moment and making sure that they buy a ticket to the end. That is the most important part. Dance running just a little high of the racing line as well. Slightly cooler track off where most of the cars run. And he'll be able to use that momentum to save his tyres a little bit.
Stretching to the fuel window as well. Remember, most of these guys stayed out under that first caution period. Under full green conditions, expecting the window to be about 37 to 38 laps, maybe 40, but with the benefit of the undercut, we don't think it's likely. So once you factor those caution laps in as well, we probably will actually see them get to 40, but I think as soon as someone from the top group decides to pit, it'll drag the rest with him.
Yeah, because you don't want to be the one guy that does something different, because once things go green, you're basically off strategy compared to everyone that you were racing before. You're going to have to work your race backwards from the end to try and get yourself back into that position. And you have to deal with a lot of cars out there who might be a bit slower than you'd expect. Here's Luke Critchley in 15th place, and he's got a huge line of cars up ahead of him. There's a battling pack, it seems, just up ahead of him, because Dwayne Burns and Gavin Barber right here fighting hard. And just in front of them, the kinetic machine of Jake Fox. Here goes Burns, just lifting off down the front straight. Needs a little bit of space there between himself and Gavin Barber. The drivers have to think about engine cooling as well, because the speeds are so high. They actually don't open up the cooling holes, I guess you could say, on the cars, like the intakes into the side pods and all that sort of stuff. They run so fast and the air enters the car at such a fast rate that it gets cooled down anyway. But when you're behind another car, those temperatures can go haywire. You've got to be careful of that as Burns now draws alongside Gavin Barber, and he's got the optimum line down into turns 1 and 2, and he takes it quite nicely. Unfortunately, it looks like he'll lose that momentum, and Barber will get him right back as we check back in with the lead pack.
Will Leslie has retaken the lead, and he's holding it for a while longer than he did the previous time he's done this. So Fraser Ross now running second with Cameron Dance tucked underneath his rear wing and gearbox and all the bits that come at the back of these cars. Harold Stadler, Dean Moll, and then on the inside of Moll we've got Oliver Silva.
Oliver Silva, one of the cars to pit under the caution, so he's got slightly fresher tyres than these guys, and they're still in their optimum range, while the rest of them will be starting to feel a little bit less than optimal on their rubber. He's going to try and follow Dean Moll through here on Harold Stadler. But Moll tries and fails to get the move done before they get to turn 1. Stadler staying up in the middle of the racetrack, and I think that's a really good place to be right now. He's able to get the momentum. Cameron Dance using a magnificent draft on Fraser Ross to just draw right up to the back of him, but no change for that second place, and Oliver Silva up on the top of the circuit, still defending here from Dean Moll, but it looks like he's just managed to get it done as they come onto the start-finish stretch. A little bit more rubber for Oliver Silva, working wonders for him right now.
And when you've got the fresh tyres, you can afford to drive around the higher lanes on the racetrack and just drive around your competition, quite literally. So he's been trying to do that, but unfortunately his advantage isn't quite as big as it may have been, with a bit of a bigger disparity between their tyre life. Still putting them in a good spot, though, for the first run of green flag stops. Should we make the next 10 laps green? A little bit tight in front of him now between Ross, Dance, and Stadler.
Yeah, this top 5 pack is incredible right now. Harold Stadler's actually gotten past Cameron Dance on the outside of the circuit. Very good car positioning. Silva now on the outside of Dance coming into turn 3. Let's see if he can use that momentum. That's an issue for Fraser Ross, though. Bit slow in the mid-corner. Stadler has gotten ahead of him as well. So a very surprising run here from Harold Stadler, who now takes second, with Cameron Dance being dragged along with him. And they're right on the back of Will Leslie now.
I checked up Silva and he loses out. Jack Stiles is recovering from his mistake. He's back up there with the top 5 group in 20th place, a lap down.
That's Shane Bowen just up ahead of Jake Fox here. Very tight battle pack as Bowen jets past Jonathan Bean, and up to the middle of the circuit goes Dwayne Burns. Those 2 Avatar Auto Racing cars running very nicely there, just up into the top 10. And another telltale puff of smoke, which usually signifies a technical issue for a driver. Have a look at the sun now. These drivers cannot see out of their left eyes, and thank goodness for the advertising placards coming into turn 3, because you wouldn't be able to see a thing otherwise. Here comes the run down the front stretch, and getting down to the bottom is Jack Stiles, right on the back of Cameron Dance now. And this is the battle for the lead. Stadler actually sweeping around the outside of Will Leslie to take it. I mean, we've already seen quite a few lead changes today, and that's not going to be the last by any margin.
The way Stiles has been driving up and down the order means he could definitely be a contender if he gets himself back on the lead lap. He's showing some pretty good pace, especially comparative to Oliver Silva. I believe both of them pitted for fresh tyres, so he's looking good right now. There's a mistake collected by Silva, and that was Jack Stiles.
Yeah, it was indeed. Just went a little bit too low in turns 1 and 2. No caution, thank goodness. And Oliver Silva still holds 5th place, but He's lost a great amount of momentum and a huge gap now between Silver and Mole and the pack up ahead of them. Modem simulation replay then of what happened, and this is on board with Silver. You see Jake Fox down there on the bottom. Silver had to back out of it a bit and send himself up the circuit, losing that momentum. But Jack Styles now to the back of the pack, and very unfortunate run of events for him and for Silver.
Top 4 have broken away. You're on lap 38. Pit stops becoming very soon. The window's been extended just a bit, thanks to the caution. Who will be the first to blink? Come in and get 4 fresh tyres and fuel to the brim.
Goodness me.
Silver comes into contact with Thomas O'Leary, exiting turn 2. There's O'Leary coming back onto the racetrack.
And we just saw Jonathan Bain make contact with Jake Fox as well. That was quite intense. We stay green. Thomas O'Leary now missing half of his front wing, it seems. There's going to be no grip there on the outside tyres, which are incredibly important around a circuit like this. So O'Leary's going to have to get a front wing change when he inevitably comes in, and you can already see the difference in speed that carries. He is getting monstered right now by the MFR cars.
I'm glad he figured that out before he sailed it off into the corner at top speed, because he could have understeered like a pig straight into the wall then. Does a good job. He'll come in this lap and grab a new front wing. Just saw him peeling off in the background there. Lap 41 then. Still going. Stadler from Dance, Leslie and Ross, your top 4. Broken away by about a second over Mole, who's all by himself in 5th right now. Another second from him back to Silver and the rest of the pack.
Yeah, Dean Mole actually in quite a good position here. If he can get a little bit more out of his rubber, he'll be able to jet up to that top 4 pack. The draft is still in effect about 1 and a bit seconds back at these speeds, but that lead battle still continues as Neil McCall having some issues in the pits there. I think he might have overshot his pit box. So it is a Fitstye Motorsport 1-2 up at the front with Cameron Dance and Harold Stadler in 2nd and 1st respectively. And they've got the 2 Kinetic cars of Will Leslie and Fraser Ross behind them in 3rd and 4th. What lap are they going to come in? They stay out, do the top 3, but it looks like Pierre Cousin coming in, as is Fraser Ross, and he's gotten into the wall. Fraser Ross into the pit wall. And that's going to be a very awkward error to make. Looks like just as he came to the cone, locking the rears and sending the car right into that placard at the front.
Was it? No, it was getting on the gas. He locked it up. And then he started gassing it up to get back up to pit speed and lost the rears.
Well, here's the onboard.
Gets it slowed, gets the power down, and then it goes.
Oh. Well, that's put Fraser Ross back a huge amount, and we've got more cars coming into the pits now. Will Leslie has jumped into the pits. Jake Fox has followed him in as well. So pit window truly open now, and we'll wait and see what our 2 leaders do as Cameron Dance gets ahead of Harold Stadler. I think that might have been an engineered position change there between the Fitstye machines. So Dance staying out, actually, it seems, for an extra lap, because there's Stadler slowing down to go into the pits, and he's going to be followed in by Dean Mollers. We got a caution out. That was very well timed, I think, for drivers out on track. That's a huge smash. That is a big one. Huge smash.
Critchley and Cousin as well, by the looks of it.
Well, what on earth happened there? Modem simulation replay, and Pierre down on the bottom of the circuit.
Yeah, I can see how this is going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Goodness me. We'll just let that play out. Oh, wow. It was actually a car coming up off the bottom of the circuit. Now, that was Pierre. That was Pierre Cousin, who was down on the bottom.
Not what I was expecting.
Okay, well, he was already going slow.
Did he grab the apron, try to get up to speed? He did.
Yeah. Oh, he tried to get back onto the circuit and then, taking out 2 cars, probably 3 at once.
I thought it was going to be a case of him slow down on the inside and one of them being unsighted by another car, Cameron Dance is out of fuel.
Yeah, he's had to come into the pits, and because he's doing it under caution, it's going to be, I think, a big disadvantage because Will Leslie there is in the lead, and the rest of the field is going to flit on by these guys. Cameron Dance in the pits, Matthew Clowett, Oliver Silva, Shane Bowen, and Dwayne Burns all in at the moment with very worse for wear looking Luke Critchley smoking in the pits. Let's see what kind of stop Cameron Dance has. The stop for...
He's got a penalty.
Oh, he has too.
He waited. He I don't know.
Maybe the pit road was closed.
Well, he waited way too long to let the pace car catch him. I don't know why. He waited so long that by the time the pace car caught him, he was basically coming into pit road. And pit lane doesn't open until the leader is behind the pace car. So it might not have triggered in time.
Well, Matt,
I don't know why he waited so long. It wasn't a field issue. He just
Yeah, I'm not sure, eh? That's going to be a question we should ask Cam later on. Luke Critchley is back out on circuit, by the way. He's gotten some repairs done. Jonathan Bean has jumped back out of the pits as well, but I think his car has a couple of things still wrong with it because that front right for Jonathan Bean is lifting up off the ground.
not optimal.
Yeah.
Engine damage as well. Actually,
no, that's the tire. That's the left rear tire.
That's not engine damage.
Yeah.
That's
suspension damage to the rear. Look at that road. Look at that left rear. It's not turning at all.
Now,
there we go.
I'm no engineering expert, but that car's broken.
Yeah, very broken. Poor Jonathan. Unable to keep going with that kind of machine under him. So that's going to be a trip straight back into the pits for Mr. Bean as the field has started to form up now behind the pace car. So it looks like... Okay, we're getting some word about the penalty for passing under the pace car. Okay, so we're hearing that Cameron Dance didn't actually pass the pace car before he got into the pits, but he still got a penalty for passing the pace car.
Yes, because when the caution came out, he was behind the pace car. Because pace car's running out of pit road. Cam's behind it at this point, and Cam waited, should have let it go back straight, could have lifted off and let it go. But he elected to toy around and wait until right before he pitted, and got himself a penalty for it.
It doesn't seem to have cost him much, though, because it's still Stadler and Dance, your top two, with Shane Bowen and Dwayne Burns now advancing their avatar machines up into third and fourth. Will Leslie has not profited from this caution. He's back down into 11th place now, so we get a bit of a reset for this restart. And it's going to be green flag right here, apparently. That's a very confusing start for all of these guys. That pack was hanging a long way back from Harold Stadler up in the lead. A very strange restart, but looks like it is Cameron Dance in second with Shane Bowen there in third and Dwayne Burns passing the lapped car of Ilya Sharmov there.
Expect Dance potentially in here.
Let's see.
No? Yes.
Oh, yeah, he's coming in. He's coming in. So that's going to be an extra few seconds spent in the lane for Cameron. Down he goes.
Stop and hold penalty. I think there's about 40 seconds as well.
Well, this is making the championship battle between he and Leslie very interesting now in the mid-race.
Jonathan Bean as well, unfortunately. Remember that technicality I was talking about earlier, making sure you've got your fast repair selected before towing back to pit lane? He did not. And unfortunately, is gonna have to wait out. What?
Oh, apparently he's okay now. That's him out on track at the moment, is Jonathan Bean.
got tagged and have the fast repair bug. Car's twisted, so I'm out. Can't get repairs. That is what he said. I just repeated what he said, okay?
All right. Yep, fair enough. Fair enough. Obviously, something has changed there in the interim. But the race will continue for him, and it's continuing for Dean Mole here, who is right behind Craig Hawkins, who goes a little bit wide up at the corner exits, and Mole sweeps on under him down the front stretch to take 5th place back. And Oliver Silva is his next target, and Silva has been running very well since the restart. Of course, he's not been able to advance forward on the top 3. That is Burns, Bowen, Dance, and that is Burns, Bowen, and Stadler. As Cameron Dance now getting his lap back from his teammate Harold Stadler up there in the lead. And I don't think Stadler's going to put much pressure on Cam here. He's just going to focus on keeping the Avatar boys behind him and allowing Cameron Dance to potentially get back around to the back of the field when the next caution comes out.
Yeah, Harold Stadler has Cameron's championship in his hands right now. He needs to retain the lead of the race and stay behind Cameron. Because right now, if a caution comes out, Cameron's going to be on the lead lap. But if he falls behind Harold and a caution comes out, he'll be a lap down.
That's exactly right. So I think Stadler doing the exact job he needs to right now, because as we ride on board with Shane Bowen, you can see Stadler just backing off ever so slightly into the turns to give Cameron Dance some space. But it's now turned into a proper top 3 battle between Stadler and the Avatar boys. Bowen and Burns line astern behind him and looking to capitalize. There is the potential run from Shane Bowen, but electing to stay behind through the next turn. And these guys are all alone on track at the moment, so if they battle too hard, they are going to be helping no one except Dean Mole right there, who is starting to creep up on them.
I'm on board with Stadler, and he is doing his best to stay away from Cameron. So down that front straight, he did not go and chase the draft with Dance. And down the back straight, he's just staying over it as well. And I don't think he's lifting through the corners. If he is, it's just a feather, but it's just enough. I've gone board with Dance to see what the difference is. You know what else we haven't spoken about at all today? Is the gears.
Yes, indeed. The gears set up very interestingly on American open wheel cars. We're on board with Dwayne Burns. He's up at the top of 5th gear and then up into 6th. And they have a very short 6th gear relative to 5th because 6th is used as a draft gear. Usually when you're running on your own, you just run up at the top of 5th, but once you get into the draft, you can use 6th for a little bit of extra speed, and Dwayne Burns doing that beautifully at the moment. He's already gotten up into 2nd, and now he is going for the lead on Harold Stadler. He's got the run and opening up on the inside, but it's not. Oh, I think he might have just not done it.
Championship leader Will Leslie.
Oh my goodness.
Tri-oval. Cameron Dance just got handed the lead lap back as his championship rival crashes on the main straight.
Okie dokes. So that changes a few things. What happened to Will Leslie here? Oh, a bit of contact with another car to start things off, and side-by-side contact through the tri-oval, got forced up into the wall and collected by the pack behind. And Matt Andrews sent tumbling as well. That is dream almost over for Will Leslie.
Very fortunate. He's got the car rolling. He'll be able to come in and grab his spare car, but he's going to have to be careful for the next 200 laps, and that was just awkward.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what was going on there. I think Andrews could have afforded to stay a little bit lower, because once he made that side-by-side contact with Leslie, the cars basically got sucked into each other, and there was nothing either driver could do. Well, that could be championship defined right there, but we're under caution once again, and we'll see if any drivers decide to jump in and get some fresh tyres.
57 to 250, probably not.
Perhaps.
Watch them all come in.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Burns looks like he might want to.
Oh, yeah.
As well, the two teammates are going to decide against it.
Whoa, yeah, a little bit of a fake. Oh yeah, have a look at everyone behind. It looks like there's no faking out from any of these guys. So it's Mole, it's Barber, it's Ross, Hawkins, Cloet, Fox, Silver, O'Leary, Otto, Stevens. Goodness me, they're all in here. Cameron Dance jumping in as well, down at the back of the pack. He's not going to lose anything by coming in for a stop here.
This is interesting. We're going to see quite a few cars much faster than the top 8, I think, have stayed out, plus, or top 4 have stayed out, plus laps cars. So this could hurt Stadler, Burns, Bowen, and Mole quite a bit here. Not Mole, sorry, he pitted. Who's the next car? So Stadler, Burns, Bowen.
Then it's Barber.
And then just the laps cars.
Oh, yeah. So, Barber, another car that pitted there. So he is he's the lead car out of all of the cars that are pitted, is Gavin Barber. So, looks like our top 3 on old tyres. And wouldn't be too smart for them to come down onto the pits on this particular lap, because they'd lose out on all of those positions. They'd have to rejoin at the very back. Either way, this is going to be a very interesting restart.
You know, I'd pit if I was Stadler now.
Would you?
Because you're not going to lose that much. Seeing everyone come in there, I want to put myself back on cycle with them. There's only 13 cars on the lead lap. If you pit, it's likely that Burns and Bowen will come with you, and you only go back to 10th. We've seen how easy it is to pass today.
Yeah, very true, and very good points. But it looks like electing not to go in. Oliver Silver and Craig Hawkins, though, jumping in for another time. Matthew Clote jumping in as well. And, disappearing briefly is Matthew. I don't know if that was a retirement or not, but drivers coming in for another lap under caution. Something that you will see drivers doing down the field, just making sure that their tank's topped up a little bit more. They're not going to lose many positions by doing it, and it's always worth it having a little bit of extra mileage in your tank if something goes on later on. So now Harold Stadler's going to be gearing up for the start once again, running very closely to the pace car. And the drivers behind him will be much more on it this time, because that last restart gave Stadler a really good advantage right off the line. Burns and Bowen will be right on him there. They've got the lapped car of Luke Critchley in 14th place, separating them from the rest of the field, along with Jack Stiles and Neil McCall.
All the lapped cars.
yeah, all of the lapped cars, basically. But in comes the pace... Oh, Harold Stadler. What on earth? Goodness me. Okay, that was another interesting restart there, and it looks like Burns and Bowen have been caught sleeping a little bit again. Stadler almost followed the pace car in as it was coming in at the end of the caution. Very odd restarts we're seeing here at Auto Club, but we are now away, and Stadler with... about half a second or so over Dwayne Burns and Shane Bowen as they come off the last couple of corners. The battle for 10th, meanwhile, Will Leslie and Cameron Dance together on track. The championship fight is on again.
I wonder if Stadler was listening and thought, yeah, I'll pit actually, but didn't realise the pace car was coming in this lap. Luckily, he gets away with it. Remember, they're not fighting for the win anymore at this point. They could still do later on. But whoever finishes first between them will win the championship. Leslie and Dance, so this is just as critical, even back here.
Yes, indeed, and Cameron Dance looking very aggressive there. He was using the draft of Oliver Silver to get up on Mr. Leslie, and there's Will actually lifting off into the corner and letting Cameron Dance go. So now, electing to sit behind is, that is a very tight squeeze for Thomas O'Leary in 8th place. Have a look at that, right at the front of this pack of lapped cars. Darting to the inside as, Phil Otto just made a bit of contact with Jonathan Bain as Cameron Dance very bravely made his way through that pack. This
has
is very
absolutely
confusing.
dropped Leslie.
He has. Where on earth has Will Leslie gone now? Cameron Dance. Oh, we just heard a force feedback failure for Cameron Dance. So that is once again another little chink in the armor.
That's not a bad thing.
Not necessarily. Not
On the
necessarily.
Some say.
Some say, but I would certainly have my confidence rattled by it as Dance goes around Williams.
That's to a Stadler.
Ah, okay, right. We
But-
just had a correction.
Point still stands. Some say there's quite a few pros that love to run without force feedback on oval because you're unaffected by the bumps. Car just glides right over them.
Very true.
You don't get the wheel wrenched out of your hands. You can pick the perfect line every lap.
Well, we'll see how it works out for Harold Stadler, because he obviously hasn't lost the lead and still maintaining a good advantage over Burns and Bowen. Luke Critchley and Jack Stiles have stuck with them in 14th and 15th. So they're right with this top three pack, and looks like Shane Bowen at a disadvantage now. He's lost the gap to his teammate, and through is going to go Mr. Critchley. Oh, got to be careful though, because Jack Stiles going almost making it 3 wide there versus Jack Stiles, and now down to the inside. Shane Bowen will be wanting these guys out of his hair. He's still got the draft of his teammate though.
Gavin Barber's not making much progress. He's back there in 7th, 4 seconds away now from the race lead, so he's been caught out a bit by the lap cars. Jack Stiles is once again proving how much pace he's got. If he can just get himself back onto the lead lap. He got caught out with where the caution flew. It prevented him from getting his lap back.
It's another position for Cameron Dance. He's just gotten by Gavin Barber for 7th place. His next target is going to be 6th place Fraser Ross, as Gavin now under immense pressure from Thomas O'Leary. Bumper to bumper into the first corner, right down to the inside. The sun has now gone below the horizon as we got another caution now. That's happened somewhere else on the circuit. And oh, that's Oliver Silva. A big crash for Silva, who we thought was on for an easy top 5 here today.
Well, what has gone wrong for car number 5?
So Mr. Silva racing hard, and oh, yeah, car in front of him, a little bit slow. Daniel Stevens was unable to react in time. Let's see what happened. Very, very simple concertina effect right here. So Silva up ahead, the car in front a little bit slower, and then there's a slight bump, and in he goes. Daniel Stevens was just taking the optimum line and firing into the corner as he expected to.
What on earth was Pierre doing?
Yeah, Pierre Cousin.
It wasn't an engine issue, because he rolled down into turn 1 at 360 Ks, and then as he tips in, he just rolls off the throttle, washes 40 kilometers off, and Oliver's not expecting that. He has to jam on the brakes, and that means Daniel goes in the back of him. That is just... I mean, he was probably letting him go, but that is by far and away not the greatest way to do it.
Yeah, it looked like it looked a little flustered there from Pierre Cousin, who comes into the pits along with a whole bunch of other drivers as well. It's very difficult at those speeds to do it properly. That is our top 3 into the pits, with Stadler, Burns, and Bowen. Dean Moll takes the race lead out on the track, but yeah, I think Oliver Silva's going to be a bit miffed at that display, because Cousin, I could see, was still turning into the corner. He wasn't quite staying all the way up to the wall. So Silva, I think, just trying to react as best he could. Whoa, that was very odd there. Dean Moll back into second with a car dealing with some technical issues. Fraser Ross, once again, he seems to be having some real problems there on his home PC. He's going to have to fall back a few positions now as a result of that, and Olivius and Oliver Silva taking repairs in the pits. Don't know if he's either already taken a spare car or forgot to check it when he escaped back into the pits, but that is a real shame for those guys. We've got another caution. We've got another reset now for the drivers. So it's Mole, Fox, and Ross, your top three. Cameron Dance back up into 4th place, but Will Leslie, a few positions behind, going to have to start fighting again for this one. So as the sun sets over Fontana, California, and the lights come on the pace car, we're going to start seeing the rest of the track darken, getting the feeling we might see a few more spins from the drivers with the knife edge that the car gets on in cold conditions. Lapped cars being let by. Jack Stiles and waved past the pace car. There we go.
He's back on the lead lap.
Hooray!
Well, let's see what he can do with it now. We know he's got pace.
Yes, indeed. He was keeping really nicely with the lead pack, and I'm interested to see what Luke Critchley can do as well there, down in 15th place. Both of those guys will have to keep an eye on when the restart comes, but it's going to be Dean Mole who leads them away behind the pace car, with Jake Fox and Fraser Ross making it a kinetic 1-2-3. Cameron Dance just outside the podium positions. Only
3 spots between himself and Leslie, despite the huge difference in their pace, it seems, on that run. Stephen Williams, a lapped car, plus O'Leary and Barber between them.
All right, well, now we gear up for the restart once again. The pace car's moving down the circuit, pulling into the pits. See what kind of start Dean Mole can get here. The last couple of restarts behind Harold Stadler have seen great gaps, but Dean Mole keeping them very close. They don't know exactly when he's going to go. The green flag flies and he is away, and it's actually a nice consistent start. Jake Fox and Fraser Ross have managed to stay with him. Cameron Dance also in line there, but things are going to get interesting once they come across this first lap on the restart. Lap 71.
Here comes Dance already with a great burst of speed. He'll slip by Fraser Ross, whose issues seem to be getting worse. His connectivity issues, that is. So Dance up to P3. Ross back to here and there.
Yeah.
4th.
It looks like, oh, that's actually quite the run from Fraser Ross. Despite his issues, he's going to go for the move up the inside of Dance. We can't see him at the moment, but Cameron knows that he is there.
In this situation, the drivers around him need to be telling him that he's dropping out like this, and you can't race cars when you've dropped out. Right now, he's flat out disappeared. So the chances are his internet's finally given up the ghost. But if he happens to come back in a second, it could cause quite an issue. He pops back into existence in the realms of another car, so they will be holding their breath for a little while.
Yep, and we might have to wait for receive throughput fell to unacceptable level in the in-sim console. But Dean Mole's looking very comfortable here in the lead. He's got a nice gap to the cars behind. Jake Fox now moving to the top of the circuit and trying to defend against Cameron Dance and Thomas O'Leary. And it looks like Fraser Ross has indeed dropped, and we can also confirm that Oliver Silva has retired from this race. He's decided to disconnect from the server. He believes it's not worth continuing as Harold Stadler protects that 7th spot.
We lost Matthew Clowett quite a while ago as well. He's now 15 laps down, unfortunately. He's also retired from this one. Clean air is so important. Once you get it, you can do a lot with it. Dean Mole using it to hold himself out a nice half-second advantage He's the only driver that can run flat out right now. Everyone behind is having to just feather the throttle to get through the corner. The lifts getting bigger and bigger, the more dirty air you're in.
Yeah, plenty of dirty air for everyone behind Jake Fox at the moment. And you see Cameron Dance going down to the inside to try and get a little bit more clear air going over the wings of that car. Down to the bottom again, across the start-finish stretch. Dance also has to think about defending from O'Leary too. And thinking about Will Leslie, he's starting to take advantage of the situation that Dance is in right now. And only one car between our two championship rivals. What can Dance do here? Can he try and get second from Jake Fox? It looks like it's not going to happen as we ride on board with Leslie. Cameron Dance up there on the right of the screen, coming down the front stretch. I have no idea which way this championship fight is going to go, Ryan. We are not even halfway through right now as Will Leslie goes down to the bottom. He's got to be very careful not to touch the apron, but he gets away with it for one more lap. And oh, big move to the inside for Thomas O'Leary. I think a little bit of engine cooling might be the reason for that, because no advantage over Cameron Dance that time.
Look at him moving it down to the very inside of that tri-oval, the front stretch. And Jake Fox not too interested in trying to chase that slipstream right now. Check out Harold Sadler coming around the outside of Thomas O'Leary. He'll complete this because he'll have the tow from his teammate, and O'Leary will have to tuck in behind him. So 5 cars out front. Leslie back in 6th, riding at the moment by himself.
And we have just heard Harold Stadler getting the highest top speed of anyone. That's it down there at the bottom, 376 Ks. So he's taken advantage of this draft. He wants to get up there and help his teammate, and he has succeeded so far. Dance and Stadler now running 3rd and 4th in the session. Dean Moll's gap, meanwhile, is starting to drop. You see there up at the front of the field, Jake Fox starting to advance, but still staying high. Probably electing to look after his tyres a bit, keep the gap to Dean Moll so that Cameron Dance cannot advance forward and get a few extra potential points.
We've seen in 80 laps already so many twists and turns in the outright championship fight between Dance and Leslie. There's still 170 left in this race. What more is going to get thrown at these two drivers? What have they got? 4,500 points each, and there's only 6 points separating them after 13 rounds.
It's been a great championship fight over the course of the season. Obviously, Cameron Dance is the reigning champion, so he had a good run to start things off. But I think the wheels started falling off the wagon for Cam in the Silver Crown at Lucas Oil Raceway. The round that he unfortunately had to do away from home on a laptop with a controller, and got almost no points out of that. So every round since then for Cam has been a big fight back, and it's a fight back to second for him at the moment, because he's now starting to put immense pressure on Jake Fox as Dean Moll continues to jet away in the lead. I'll tell you what, Fox, I think actually some very shrewd car positioning from him at the moment, because Cameron Dance, he's unable to really get a leg up on him. He might here, though. He's through before turn 1, took advantage of the draft down the front stretch, and he's managed to get it done on exit as well. You saw Jake Fox with a little bit of extra speed through the mid-corner around the outside, but no response then for Cameron Dance. Next target is the lead.
Darkness is well and truly starting to set in around the California circuit. We started with the glaring sunset down that back straight towards 3 and 4, but Now the lights have taken a hold, and that's going to change the way the track handles. Setup's going to come in or come away from some of these cars.
Yeah, the big question is, do you set up your car more for the day or more for the night? Well, there's going to be more of the race under dark conditions here, as Jake Fox searches for a way around Cameron Dance once again. I think the majority of drivers, especially the guys at Kinetic, will have set up their cars to be fastest during the colder conditions once the sun goes down, because the entire idea of setting up a car is you want it to be at its best at the very end of the race, ideally. You don't want to be encountering any slip-ups towards the end, and Craig Hawkins there in the pits. Looks like that is another retirement / fast repair taking. What happened to him down on the tri-oval? Oh, it wasn't at the tri-oval. Actually understeering up into the wall out of turns 3 and 4, and that is a fair whack to the right-hand side of his machine, and getting over the apron and then smashing into the pit dividing wall as well. So that was an incident that went on for a lot longer than Mr. Hawkins would have wanted. And it looks like he is indeed out of the race, as now Jake Fox tries again versus Cameron Dance. It's an excellent run down the tri-oval that these guys are getting at the moment. And Fox staying a lane up, keeping the tyres cool. And that is a pit stop there for Jack Styles, our lap down hero that is now back on the lead lap. He's back onto a lap down now as the top 3 completely together now. Cameron Dance searching for a way around Dean Mole, but still having to defend from Jake Fox. The run continues. Oh, whoa.
There it is.
Whoa. Okay.
Harold Stadler.
Righto.
Through the tri-oval into the fence. If he rejoins the track, it might bring out the caution. No, we're going to stay green.
Modem simulation replay through the tri-oval. Stadler just got onto the apron. He tried to get off it and then back onto it again. The car went. So for the second car in as many laps, a huge hit to the pit dividing wall and super heavy damage. It looks like Stadler might have just been holding the wheel still there. Wondering if he might have had wheel issues. Let's have a look.
Well, remember, he's got no force feedback, so when he crashes,
the
wheel's not going to, have any
that's
jolt
it.
left and right. So he's literally just holding the wheel straight.
Yeah, true. Well, he's back in the pits now, and got some big repairs coming up for him as Fox and Dance for second and third side by side across the start-finish line. Only 0.04 of a second between the two of them. They've still got to think about Thomas O'Leary behind. He's just sitting pretty at the moment, biding his time as these two continue to fight and burn through their tyres.
The thing that Dance is going to be careful of is he's got 2 of Will Leslie's teammates around him.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to want to play too much in his favour as Luke Crishley comes to pit road all by himself.
Remember, he was racing with Jack Styles for position, so they might come out in the same vicinity. There's Jake Fox with a great run out of turn 2 and has to lift off. He doesn't want to go side by side with Dance coming into this corner just yet. The top 3 just keeping each other some really good company right now, and we might expect them to pit together. We've got to remember Cameron Dance has had a few adventures in the pits throughout this race so far.
They're still flat out. Chances are they probably are because of how much the track will have cooled since the start, or in theory. With darkness descending, they might still be able to go flat around this racetrack. Even with the tyre wear, yep, Dean Mole is easy full throttle, but Cameron Dance is still having to lift off there in his wake. 360 kilometers an hour as he crosses the line.
I'm amazed at the speeds that these cars can carry. I mean, obviously they're a modern open wheeler. They're light, they're powerful. They've got the downforce trimmed completely out for maximum straight line speed, but still, you know, regularly setting average laps in excess of 350 kilometers an hour is something special. Jack Styles then back out onto the circuit, and there's Luke Critchley behind him with an MFR car in between the two of them, so that fight for position is going to continue. As Daniel Stevens and Jonathan Bean at the back of the top 10. We thought Bean was down and out of this one, but he soldiered on and continued in that very strong position. So he and Daniel Stevens will be working together, try and advance forward. Thomas O'Leary then, up on the back now of Jake Fox, because Cameron Dance and Dean Moll are well and truly together now. It looks like Jake Fox losing quite a bit of pace in those last couple of laps.
Got to make the most of this racetrack while we still can in the way it is right now, because as I said at the top of the show, it's going to become a half-mile banked oval. So along the lines of Martinsville and Bristol, apparently supposedly a hybrid between the two, as O'Leary makes the move there, which could be very interesting. It'd be interesting to see if it entices IndyCar back, because IndyCar haven't been here since 2015, sorry. They've had 2 stints at this place. 3 years, 2002 to 05, and then again 12 to 15.
Yeah, it's a track that's had a reasonable history in American open wheel racing, but I am looking forward to seeing how the shortened configuration of Auto Club goes. iRacing is apparently assisting NASCAR with their simulations of the new track, and it would be quite interesting to see if IndyCar comes back here in that short track configuration.
Now that I think about it, that seems unlikely.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, IndyCar races at Iowa. That's one of the shortest speedways that American Open Wheel goes to. So I think a track like Auto Club, it would certainly be cool. But yeah, I don't know if I could see it happening.
2022 is when they reckon it should be completed.
And that is a change for position there. Oh, and a bit of contact too. Jake Fox getting into the wall. So the aero performance of that is not going to work out well, and it looks like it was Ilya Sharmov that Mr. Fox was attempting to pass at the time. Ilya down on the bottom of the circuit and just pushing up. Turned in a little bit too early, and there was the contact.
He had an incident off turn 4 as well by himself. Ended up through the grass in the tri-oval.
And there's Jake Fox coming into the pits. It's a very slow entry, and it looks like that's the reason why. Another gassing up and spinning on pit entry. Very easy to do. Dean Moll has come in for a green flag pit stop, by the way. Cameron Dance taking the lead, with Thomas O'Leary moving up into second. 42 laps into that stint for Dean Moll, so he's done a pretty good job of stretching out the tank, despite being the lead car for the majority of it.
Remember, Dance never did a green flag stop. He was still on the racetrack when the caution came out for the second time, I think it was. So we haven't seen him actually get down to pit road at full speed yet. We've seen a couple drivers make issues so far. Fraser Ross and Jake Fox as Moll rolls off of the lane. That was Burns, Bowen and Co flying by him.
Yeah, it looks like it was Will Leslie trying to go for the move on Mr. Dwayne Burns as Jack Styles and Luke Critchley continue their battle. Burns ahead of Leslie crucially at the turn-in point for 3 and 4. And Leslie really disadvantaged in the draft. I could see him falling back visually. It's really only on these straight line sections that he has a real chance to stay with Dwayne Burns right now. So So Cameron Dance all alone up in the lead. And
Did
still
you know
waiting.
that scoring pylon in the middle of the racetrack, it's actually the water tower from the old steel mill that used to be here. There we go. Dance is in.
That is an awesome fact. I did not know that.
That one.
That one or that one? Well, that's not a scoring pylon there over on the left. That
Jay.
is a.
Behind it, the water tower. There you go.
Oh, behind it, that water tower. Oh, yes. Yes, I see it. Awesome stuff there. Because, yeah, this used to be the side of a steel mill as Dance has actually come in from the lead for a stop.
Gavin Barber, Jonathan Bain, Phil Otto, Matt Andrews, Stephen Williams, and O'Leary.
Ah, there we go. And Will Leslie jumping on in as well. Slight lock-up on entry, but that's not going to hurt him. Dwayne Burns then back out into the lead of the race. And it's an Avatar Auto Racing 1-2 right now as we've had our first proper round of green flag fuel stops.
Actually, I just thought of something else as well. I'll see if Dwayne Burns comes in anytime soon. Should be about 5 or so laps time. But once this track gets reconfigured, they can't keep using it as Daytona for films. Ford vs Ferrari used this place as their Daytona racetrack.
Oh,
when they
did
were
they?
filming. Yeah.
Righto.
Going to Daytona itself probably would have been too costly or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it is on the other side of the country from Hollywood, is Daytona, and this track is only probably an hour, 2 hours max. Probably 3 hours if California freeways have the reputation I think they do. So, makes sense for production purposes.
I suppose.
Cameron Dance and Dean Mole for 4th and 5th, continuing only a few tenths between these guys. But they're both on fresh tyres, crucially. They can push as hard as they possibly can.
Into the lane for Neil McCall. Was running 2 laps down, that here in 12th. So 3 cars in the lead lap at the moment. The 3 cars that still have fuel left in the tank from their last stop. Dance leading the rest of them.
It looks like that's almost going to be a move here because Dance and Mole on fresh tyres coming through on Mr. Burns. But of course, Dwayne not losing the lead because they are technically a lap down on him right now. And Burns still yet to come in for his stop. Bradley Matheson jumps on into the lane for MF Racing Casual. But Dance and Mole then, the effective lead fight. It's another good run from Dean Mole. But once again, it looks like the draft is, it's powerful enough that you're able to jet past a rival on the straights, but it's not so powerful that you're comfortable.
Well, I mean, that was comfortable.
It was also a lapped car.
Yeah, that was Neil McCall.
That just got into the wall.
Nope.
Neil McCall, unfortunately, up and off the racetrack, getting into the inside wall down on the back stretch, and at a stop, I get the feeling that might be a tow back to the pits for Neil. It's a shame, though, because he only just pitted, remember?
Yeah.
Take another look at what happened to him.
Trying to stay out of the way, and there is a point at this track where you can go too high. Coming off of 4, when the track flattens out, that's one of those places.
Oh, that was very close to creating a larger pile-up for Shane Bowen and the chasing kinetic car behind. Here's the view from Shane Bowen's perspective.
Turn 2, not turn 4.
Yes. Whoa, there we go. Coming up at a great rate of knots was Shane, but
Yeah.
fortunately no damage for him.
The top 3 remain on track. Should be in a lap or 2. Dance and Mole broke it away in what'll be net first and second. Will Leslie is looking like he might be in a bit of a struggle at the moment. He's not showing great pace as this race continues on, and Cameron Dance is showing great pace. Well, he is showing great pace.
Oh, and in comes Dwayne Burns there.
And Bowen.
Yep. After the scheduled amount of time, Avatar executing their pit stop. But yeah, looking at Will Leslie's lap times, yeah, he just has not been able to advance forward like Cameron Dance is, and Leslie in a bit of a quagmire at the moment. He's
What?
Whoa, hello, Daniel Stevens.
Upstar.
All right.
Letting Stadler go.
Okie dokes. We're hearing that Shane Bowen missed his pit box as well, so big disadvantage for the second Avatar machine. And down into the pits comes Daniel Stevens. Another green flag stop, and he's done 43 laps on that tank. Not bad at all.
That was a very cautious entry.
Well, I think considering some of the entries we've seen tonight, cautious is the best way to go.
Yeah, better to lose 1 or 2 seconds as opposed to 2 laps.
Yeah, 1 or 2 seconds or 10 or 20 positions is generally the weighing up that I do. As Dance and Mole filter back through into the top 2 positions on track. So this is the first time tonight that Dance has truly had clear air up ahead of him. He's been following cars the majority of the time here.
Look at the gap they've got over the rest. Once they cycle across the line here, the timing board will update properly, it should. They've got about 8 seconds in hand over third place Daniel Stevens and Will Leslie, who's behind him.
Yeah, that's quite the gap that these two hold. So despite the fact that they are from different teams and, you know, obviously Mole's teammate is fighting Dance for the championship, they don't want to get in each other's way here. They're in a very good position out at the front. Got to remember too, the next time a caution comes out, that gap is going to be eliminated completely. Got another car coming into the pits. That's Pierre Cousin for the next of quite a few tours that we've seen him make through the pits tonight. As O'Leary and Leslie battle for third and fourth. And Leslie, I think, can start to feel that championship slipping away slightly. Cameron Dance, if he finishes where he is at the moment, that is championship done. Confirmed Dance is the champion, but we've still got to wait. We've got half of this race still left to go.
Ten cars on the lead lap now. After that, only 1 car a lap down, Jonathan Bain. The rest are 2 down or more. So really, the only guy that can get himself back on the lead lap realistically is Jonathan. You have to have a lot of things for your way to be in a wave around spot twice. If you're Matt Andrews or back.
Modem simulation replay. Gavin Barber experiencing an issue. Hit the wall apparently, so we're going to take another look at that out of turn 4. Just coming into turn 3 there with, I think that's Dwayne Burns behind him. And yeah, just understeering up into the top wall. Doing well to keep it off the grass and not spin it. But that wheel is not looking good. Quite a bit of... Oh, hello. Another caution has come out. And it looks like it's Pierre Cousin who has brought it out. Jumping back into the pits again. Let's have a look at what happened to Pierre.
Nothing. Nothing happened.
This is the replay. I don't know if it was Pierre who did it. It was Luke Critchley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that was quite the hit.
That'll definitely do it. Was that a failure maybe? Because I've not been talking about understeer exiting turn 2 all day, but that was next level.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, that will be interesting to see if that was a hardware failure or something to that effect. We do apologise for initially getting drivers' names wrong. We do
Blame
take
Jay.
a couple of seconds. Well, yeah, okay. So, yeah, Ryan just goes blame Jay, but I say, it does take us time. As the cars come into the pits, we're going to go on a very quick break here on SimSpeed TV. We'll be back very shortly, but do not go away. We're going to go racing again very shortly here in the International Division of the Majors Series at Auto Club. You're watching the International Division of the Majors Series. It's the California 500. We're currently on lap 120 out of 250, and we are under caution, but it is coming to an end very, very soon. We've had the next round of caution pit stops, and Cameron Dance leads the race with Will Leslie in second. So the championship fight is back on up the front of the field. I'm really looking forward to this. If you just joined us, I'm Reese Gardner, and Ryan Jones is with me in the commentary box tonight. This fight between Dance and Leslie, Ryan, not going to be over by any stretch.
It is not, and this caution has helped a lot of people out. The big gap that Dance and Mole had evaporated. Leslie now given a boost back up the order after languishing for a little bit. Can he stick with Dance? And is the championship going to be defined by an on-track battle in the final race? Just over halfway to go.
And in comes the pace car. Cameron Dance elects to put the power down quite early and moves straight to the bottom of the circuit. He gets a good run on Will Leslie and Thomas O'Leary behind him. Leslie getting a slightly worse start than O'Leary as the draft starts to come into play and the field cycles through. Riding on board with one of the Avatar boys, Shane Bowen, now into P7, and he is fighting with Daniel Stevens and Matt Andrews, the lapped car of Matt Andrews, but it's full position between himself and Stevens. Meanwhile, looks like Thomas O'Leary passing Will Leslie for second, and Leslie with a huge amount of momentum lost in the middle of the corner, losing all of that time to Thomas O'Leary and now falling into the clutches of his teammate Dean Mole.
Bad news for Leslie. He really didn't need that. And that's quite a gap that's formed. Thomas O'Leary up there. I wonder if him and Dance could run away. They go side by side like this, they won't. Looking low. You can see up the road there. Not going to pan out for him.
Yeah, and O'Leary, of course, teammates with Leslie and Mole. I think Leslie and Mole down in third and fourth, they want to try and work together to get back onto the back of that top two, because I'm looking at Dwayne Burns in fifth place. He's gotten a great run of pace. He pitted just before the caution and is on fresh tyres, as we see Cameron Dance and Thomas O'Leary bumper to bumper once again into turns 3 and 4. But I'm really interested in the battle for third, fourth, and fifth just behind these guys. We'll stay with them though, because it's almost side by side here as O'Leary tries to find a way around Dance on the outside, but no room there right up at the top. He still goes high, a little bit of clear air, keeping that downforce up through the turns. And he keeps the momentum going, but he has to back out of it coming out of the corner.
Down low he goes for 3 and 4. O'Leary taking the clean air, running a slightly higher line. And still they maintain the gap back to third. It's about 6/10 back there.
Here we go, round the outside again, Thomas O'Leary. But Dance ahead coming into the corner. O'Leary using the outside of the track beautifully there, but Cameron Dance slots back up into the top of the circuit. Will O'Leary go for the move here? It looks like he's just lifting off, staying with Cameron Dance until they get to the corner, and then he gets all of the downforce back through the turns. A little bit of understeer for Thomas O'Leary behind Cameron Dance there due to the aero push. But they come across to start another lap. We have gone half race distance now.
Look how close O'Leary is, tucked up under that rear wing. Now he's got the run. Dance moves up the road just a little bit. Nothing O'Leary could do.
Leslie's coming back.
There he is. He's coming and he's dragging Mole, Burns, Bowen, and everyone else with him. The top 8 then. All together. Jack Styles is in that group.
Yeah, Styles making his way back up into 8th place after being a lap down in the first part of the race. Great run from Jack, and he's got a great view of all of these proceedings now. It looks like the entirety of the top 8 are together as Styles goes up the inside of, I think that is Daniel Stevens, with Dwayne Burns and Shane Bowen, the 2 Avatar cars just up ahead of him. Styles unsuccessful in getting past Stevens, but that draft is still worth a lot. There goes Stevens up the inside of Shane Bowen, splitting the 2 Avatar machines. Can Bowen hold on round the outside? Burns on Mole now just up ahead as well. And Will Leslie only a position ahead of them. So one single mistake from a driver in this pack could end it for everyone.
It could. High stakes stuff, and this is why you don't want to leave it to the last race to win your championship, but that's the scenario Dance and Leslie have got themselves into, and they have got to be so alert right now. Dance in the best spot. Leslie is alright at the moment. He's not in a tight group. He's got room to work with as O'Leary still attacking Dance. Here we go.
Oh, yep, side by side down the front stretch, but Dance on the inside and just ahead gets the advantage into the corner, and once they come out, he might gain a little bit more, but no, actually. That's interesting. Thomas O'Leary has nailed the exit that time. Dance lifts off and lets him go in front. So now Cameron has a chance to fuel save a little in the draft. He has a chance to try and keep up the gap between himself and Will Leslie.
Oh, there they are. They're all together now. The top 10, top 8. Dane and Barber, who are 9th and 10th, are just off the back. Unfortunately, they're about 5 seconds away from this group. This
What an
is
incredible battle.
3 Kinetic cars, 2 TechSense cars, and 2 Avatar Auto racing machines as
Here
well.
comes Leslie. Will Leslie now up the inside of Cameron Dance down the front stretch. He took advantage of that run through the last couple of turns, and he's just moved ahead now of the reigning champion. Will Leslie back ahead on driver's points. What can Cameron Dance do to respond? He can't do much right now, because have a look at Dwayne Burns down on the inside. A great run. He's already passed Mole and looking to get by Dance as well. Jack Styles darting to the bottom of the circuit to try and take advantage as well.
Well, from the lead back to third he goes. Can he make sure he stops that flow there? Dwayne Burns is looking. He's going, and he sticks and waits, and check out Harold's Jack Styles.
Oh, he just caught the apron there, almost fired himself up into a wall. A great save from Jack Styles, I have to say. There goes Dean Mole up the inside of Cameron Dance, and now it's that double-pronged frontal assault from Kinetic that Dance has to deal with, and an assault from Avatar behind. That's another position lost for Cam. Dwayne Burns is now ahead and into fourth, and he could be challenging Mole for third here. I am amazed at the run that Dwayne Burns is having right now.
Look at this. Fifth gear all the way around for Cameron Dance. I wonder if he's just trying to save a bit of fuel.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. There's 6 here. So, I was going to say, revving it up in 5th is not the way to save fuel. So O'Leary pulls a gap on them all. 4/10 back to Leslie. Mole 3rd. Burns up to 4th. Right there in front of Cameron Dance. The championship now back in Leslie's favour.
It is indeed, and we just saw Harold Stadler pulling away from his box there, having to take an awful lot of repairs after his hit with the wall and the tri-oval. Shane Bowen now in the midst of this top 8 battle. Jack Styles just having made his way past him. Bowen's now having to defend against the lapped car of Matt Andrews, but Andrews a little bit less momentum there and slight contact. Down to the inside goes Daniel Stevens to try and get by him, but we still focus here on Dwayne Burns, Bowen's teammate, right in the thick of it with the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place battle. As you say, Ryan, Thomas O'Leary under no pressure at all at the moment.
If you can break the toe, you're golden. But it's so hard to do. And if they then get organised behind, they can run you down. If things fall your way, you can make it work. He's holding the gap at the moment. In fact, maybe just edging it out ever so slightly. The 3 Kinetic cars now lined up, 1, 2, 3.
And it's interesting to see what Mole is doing as well. He's staying consistent with Will Leslie, but once again not attacking him. You can see that Mole is backing himself into Burns slightly, giving Leslie a bit more of a gap. And Mole knows that Cameron Dance is only another position behind, so the team games continue. Oh, here comes Dwayne Burns. Run around the outside. Can he get it done on Dean Mole? Well, that slight event has given Will Leslie a little bit more of a gap still. And Dance just sitting behind, biding his time. He's waiting for these two to come together or slow each other up. Then he can flit on through back into 3rd place.
How about our Legends Championship as well? Harold Stadler it was, wasn't it? And Daniel Stevens?
Yeah, and that has been secured. No matter how Stadler finishes in this one, Daniel Stevens isn't going to be able to score enough points to beat him. So I think Stadler has done all the work he needs to in that regard. Still, he might be under threat for 3rd in the overall Drivers' Championship.
This is just a bit of a waiting game now, isn't it, Reese?
It's
all the last stint. They've all got plenty of tyres available to them. Because we are past halfway. They've all used 5 sets. They've got 5 more available to them. And I would generally expect less cautions before we get right to the end. And there's a potential for a burst, but they should settle here, I think.
Yeah, I think they should too. We've seen moves, we've seen passes, but since that last restart, looks like the racing has been very clean and a bit calmer than we saw in the opening stages. This is the part where the drivers get into that rhythm and they're able to just go through the motions, but they got to be careful because fatigue is going to set in and you can't afford to get too carried away. Even around a track like this, it seems simple, you know. What's the typical stereotype? Oh, they're just turning left, but no, There's a lot you have to keep track of around a track like this, where you place your car relative to the bottom of the circuit, relative to other cars.
It's a learning curve, and I think we all know a man that's going to have to endure that learning curve in real life next year.
Of course, Scotty Mack. Of course, Scott McLaughlin, three-time Supercars champion and moving to IndyCar next year. He jumped in the box for us here at SimSpeed some years in the past. It's great to have him along. He's certainly a great ambassador for sim racing. Certainly hope to see him out and about in America next year, grabbing points, podiums, and wins. We'll see how he goes. It is going to be a tough job for him racing on ovals properly for the first time.
Well, he recently did his test at Indianapolis for the first time, driving there in an IndyCar. And he said it was a bit daunting. Facing off a 90-degree corner with the wall staring back at you at 360 kilometers an hour. And May next year, just add 33 cars.
That's it. It's going to be a tough one, the 500 next year, as Phil Otto jumps on into the pits. This battle, though, continuing for second on back. Leslie still holding on by a couple of car lengths over Dean Moll, but Dwayne Burns continuing to pile on the aggression. He moves to the outside once again, as that's Jonathan Bain coming in from 10th place for MF Racing. Another green flag pit stop for them. Now what can Cameron Dance do, meanwhile? He's behind the yellow machine of Dwayne Burns that you see in the middle of the screen, but starting to come under an attack from Jack Stiles, who has had a really good run since the last restart. He's kept it nice and clean. We said earlier in the night that Stiles had the potential to mix it with them up at the front. It looks like that's what he can do indeed.
Called it. Here he is.
That you did. And that's
And
Stephen
this is
William.
very important for Dance. Because with Sadler now 3 laps down, he needed someone up there to help him, teammate-wise, against the trio of kinetic machines. Now Stiles can be that man.
Indeed he can. He just needs to advance forward a little bit more. Has to hope that Cam can find a way past Burns, Moll, and Leslie, and then they can really execute the plan. Down to the inside, Cameron Dance goes all the way to the bottom of the circuit, getting a little bit of clear air, I think. And Jack Stiles following him in the draft. Looks like Dance might have been lining up a run down the front straight, because actually getting a little bit of momentum off 3 and 4. Not working for him that time, though. Burns stays ahead.
In theory, the track should see an evolution where maybe running the middle of the track becomes quicker, but it doesn't ever really seem to come into fruition, RSM, does it?
No, it doesn't seem so. The drivers still searching for grip wherever they can, but it looks like further down the bottom is where you need to be at the moment. The drivers having to deal with Ilya Sharmov down there on the bottom. Going another lap down, but staying well out of the way of everyone, which is good to see. And they advance on through. They're all together now. Burns, Dance, and Stiles. Dean Moll actually gaining an advantage and starting to draft up to the back of Will Leslie again as Cameron Dance goes past Dwayne Burns across the start-finish line, back up into 4th place for the reigning champion, but still in a losing position at the moment.
The pressure for these two is an interesting dilemma as well. For Dance, he's got the championship under his belt. He won it last year. He came into this round second. He's just trying to win it again. But for Will Leslie, he doesn't have it under his belt. He came in as the leader. the expectation was on him to continue out of here with the championship lead and the win. So I'd say, even though Leslie's the one leading right now between them, the pressure's on him to perform and win this, especially with Kinetic wrapping up the teams as well, wanting to do the double for them, team and driver.
Yeah, agreed. That's it is not the greatest situation for Leslie at the moment, because remember, we have seen those flashes of inconsistency from him in the stints preceding this one. So you are right, he does have an awful lot of pressure on him, but he does have Dean Mole up there with him, protecting him from the advances of Cam Dance for now. I do have to say, though, it might be Cam's to win and Leslie's to lose at the moment.
Still a long way to go. 98 laps left. It'll be the end of this year, but Majors will be back in 2021. Bigger, better, stronger than ever. Calendar is going to be unveiled at the end, I believe, of the American broadcast by the Global Sim Racing channel here on the iRacing Esports Network. So if you want to be one of the first to see what 2021 looks like for the Majors Series, make sure to tune in there.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple of teasers of that schedule, and there's some very interesting rounds coming up for next year that will really test the mettle of these drivers in their pursuit of the Mario Andretti Trophy for next year. The Majors, always one of the most versatile sim racing championships around. You know, you get to test every single aspect of what makes you a good sim racer in this series. Just about every car track combo is different, and there's a few surprises coming up in 2021. So do be sure to tune in for the Americas broadcast with our friends at GSRC, and you'll be able to see what's in store.
I can't wait to see what everyone's reaction is going to be to the Figure 8 race.
Cough, cough. We'll have to wait and see about that. There, that's a teaser. Go and watch the GSRC broadcast when they put it on, man. You'll be able to find out for sure. That is Cameron Dance now going high versus Dean Mole. Both well and truly together. And that means basically that Will Leslie will continue to skip away now. Dance, of course, advancing past Mole, but losing a bit of time as a result of it. Thomas O'Leary, though, has not managed to maintain a huge gap. It's actually gone down slightly versus Will Leslie, and he is still in the draft. So with now everyone equidistant, more or less, I feel like the top three battle is going to close up by the time we come into the next pit stops.
Which shouldn't be too far away. Now, in terms of working backwards,
if we want to, I was just going to say, if we want to have a starting point for working backwards, the critical lap is lap 213. That is the earliest you can stop and get home on fuel.
So if you pitted now, you'd be at an awkward spot. No one's going to be able to go another 20 laps. They're all going to have to pit twice more. 1, 2, 3? 3 more times? No, twice. They're all going to have to pit twice more, but no one can pit now and make it to the critical lap. Hence... No, Jake says 3. Am I?
Okay,
Yeah,
you
if
pit
you
once
pitted
now.
now, you'd have to pit 3 times. But if they can stretch 20 laps, it'd be twice. That's not going to happen. So they're all going to have to pit 3 more times.
Lead
You keeping up with me?
change. Yeah.
As Gavin Barber has just announced he's coming in, while O'Leary has lost the lead to Leslie. 3
Yeah.
stops left in this race. Here comes one for Gavin Barber.
Indeed, and that was almost a spin there, I think, for Gavin. But the top three now back together with Will Leslie taking the lead from Thomas O'Leary. Cameron Dance has timed this really well, right on the back and in the draft of the two kinetic cars. But Dean Mole is still following him. It actually looks like the top four. Oh, hello, that is Thomas O'Leary coming into the pits there. So now, Cameron Dance with no cars between himself and Leslie. And these guys will be coming in the next lap or two as well. So we'll keep an eye on O'Leary and what his pit stop times are. But Dance and Leslie, our two championship protagonists now, fighting for the lead and looking to come in at some point. Dwayne Burns jets up to the back of them, down to the inside, takes third from Dean Mole as Cameron Dance goes into the race lead. Leslie starting to slow down. Is he trying to come into the pits? No, he doesn't. He doesn't have the ability to this time around. But Dwayne Burns with a great run now up into second place. And have a look at the other Fitstyle car of Jack Styles now past Dean Mole. He's come alive.
What about this? How much shorter is the tyre stop compared to a full tank?
That's a very good question, one that we have not been told.
There's a strategy in my mind now. You get to the critical lap and you can make it home no matter what. Now, on the basis of this stays green, if you pitted now, you'd have to pit before the critical lap. So when you make that second stop, fill the tank up halfway. Find a massive benefit in terms of time, and then just try and pull away in the clean air. Pit again on the critical lap, fill it up and come home.
This is just speculation from me. I don't know 100% for sure, but I think tyre stops in an IndyCar as Dance comes on in. Tyre stops take roughly the same time as a full tank because the tyres are changed one at a time on IndyCars.
It's medieval.
Yes, but it makes for very entertaining pit stops. See them doing burnouts away from the pits. It's great. But Cameron Dance now trundling along pit lane with his contemporaries. Mole and Burns have all stayed out, by the way.
Not for long.
Yeah, not for long indeed. In they come as Cameron Dance pulls away from his box. At the moment these guys jump in. Looks like for Cameron Dance, that was a 9.7 second stop. And that seems pretty consistent with what we've seen so far. Pit stops generally running in the vicinity of 9 to 11 seconds.
Fuel flow is pretty good on these things, getting into the tank.
Yeah, that it is. Dance, of course, having to get back up to speed, and Thomas O'Leary at racing speed right behind him now. He's got a lap on these tyres. But Dance getting up to speed very quickly now, using the draft of Bradley Matheson to get him up to speed now. And there's Dean Mole coming out of the pits with Shane Bowen and with Daniel Stevens as well. And Will Leslie seems to have lost out quite a bit in that particular run, back down into 5th place now as Dwayne Burns rejoins them on the circuit. 3.3 seconds behind Dance is Will Leslie at the moment, so he's got a lot of work to do, especially with Dwayne Burns bearing down on him like this.
This is shaping up to be an intriguing finish to this race. The fuel number is not clear. Caution would bring things back to normality, but 10 cars on the lead lap, only 17 running.
This is going to be interesting for these guys. Dwayne Burns right through the middle of Bradley Matheson and Harold Stadler coming into turn 1 as Will Leslie and Dean Mole continue fighting behind. There's a tiny bit of contact between Stadler and Matheson as well. So Harold Stadler then back out on circuit after his big crash, but down in 13th place at the moment, and looks like not making it easy for Leslie and Mole. He's still thinking about his teammate. Thomas O'Leary and Cameron Dance up in the lead. O'Leary has not been able to get by the reigning champion thus far. He has an extra lap on these tyres. Have a look at how strong the draft is coming into turn 3. But Dance maintaining enough speed that he can stay ahead. So the next time we should expect these guys in is somewhere in the vicinity of lap 200, as we've got a caution out. It looks like we might get that slight reset.
Ask and you shall receive. Looks like a DPR car involved, and Melee. Okay, Shane Bowen involved. Bradley Matheson was slow as well.
Daniel Stevens majorly disadvantaged too. So let's have a look at what happened here. Shane Bowen then.
What on?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here, man. This is quite interesting. It looks like there was actually contact up ahead.
Yeah, so Matheson was spun
by Stadler.
And they've all tried to avoid him, and in doing so, who is that? Daniel Stevens down low went by him and just unsettled the car. It came back up the road into Shane Bowen.
Yeah, and there's the contact. Both of them getting into the wall, and Stevens going for one heck of a tumble. So it's very unfortunate for Matheson. I don't think he really did anything wrong there. He was ahead of Stadler on corner exit. Slightly better traction, but Stadler on the bottom there didn't have much room, and the aero push, I think, came into effect as well. Slight understeer for the Austrian.
Well, like 169 or 250. No point pitting.
Yeah, no point pitting. Ooh, hold up. Look at the fakes here. Oh, we got cars coming in. Dwayne Burns. This will likely get them to lap 205. So Dwayne Burns comes in. Harold Stadler a lap down. Will Leslie is in there as well as Dean Moll, Jonathan Bain, Matheson, Otto, and Fox all in as well. But the name that jumps out to me there is Will Leslie.
This doesn't make... Yeah, but they're still 3 laps short. So I'm talking about director. So Jay's saying this will get into lap 210, but they're still 3 laps short.
Yeah, 3 laps that they can make up by fuel saving in the draft, potentially. And they've been getting 42 laps to a tank with the cautions, so it's slightly longer anyway.
Yeah, interesting. This is tight. It's very tight, that's for sure.
So we might see this be a fuel race after all.
Hope not.
Oh well. 80 laps to go at the end of this one. Of course, laps being counted under caution, as is the tradition in IndyCar. So Cameron Dance was facing off. A great fight from Thomas O'Leary, and on the restart, he's going to have to make sure he puts the power down at a time no one expects. He wants to try and keep that lead, because then he'll be able to do whatever he wants in that clear air and leave Thomas O'Leary to deal with his teammate Jack Stiles, who's now moved up into 3rd place. So Dance lost the assistance of Harold Stadler, but has gained the assistance of Stiles here. And with Will Leslie taking that pit stop, I think it also means that Cameron Dance is going to be off strategy slightly. He'll be pitting later. Of course, that means that he'll have a bit less fuel in his car at the end. At least that's how the mental math works out in my head.
Yep. I don't know. I've given up on fuel numbers. I'm not good at them.
Oh, well, the pace car is going to come in at the end of this one and we can go racing once more. Drivers like Gavin Barber. I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes towards the end of this, because remember Gavin Barber in that fight with Stephen Williams for the sportsman driver standings. Quite the amount of positions between the two of them. Stephen Williams down in 11th, a lap down. So that is another championship that could be decided by what we've got now. Green flag flies then. Cameron Dance is away. And it looks like Jack Styles coordinated that with him very well, because he's starting to advance on Thomas O'Leary, going to get by him into turn 1 potentially as they come up to speed. Very spaced out start though for people behind. Ilya Sharmov has backed into the pack of Leslie, Burns, Mole and Stadler, and these guys are going to have a lot more work to do.
Yeah. Kind of weird how these gaps are opening up on these restarts. There's not really any reason for them to happen, but it's the way it goes sometimes.
Burns really pressuring Mr. Leslie up there as we're starting to see the battle form for the lead as well. Burns, once again, with excellent pace off the restarts, just leaving the kinetic cars in the dust. But that lead battle, what you're looking at the moment, Jack Styles trying his best to get by Thomas O'Leary, darting to and fro, trying to unsettle him. Cameron Dance in the lead, wanting to protect. All the way down to the inside he goes down the front stretch, and Styles with the mother of all drafts. He might get both of them here. He's going to at least get O'Leary and slot in front. It looks like that's what he's going to do. The move executed there for Jack Styles, and that means there's going to be one less car threatening Dance's championship. Oh, O'Leary, though, coming back at him down on the inside. He gets just ahead at the apex, but loses the momentum. Tiny little micro slide, and Jack Styles gets back ahead.
And the rest have caught them. Gavin Barber is there now as well.
That
and
he is.
Matt Andrews is in amongst it. He's currently 2 laps down in 12th.
Yeah, so he could play a part in this, but whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. Big defensive move there from Thomas O'Leary on Matt Andrews. Doesn't want that Fitzstye car to get by him. He knows that he's a lap down, but certainly doesn't want his race to be compromised in any way. Gavin Barber with a great view of what's going on here up the front, because Jack Styles and Cameron Dance are starting to work together now.
It's a good representation of how important having as little as possible in front of you is. You wouldn't normally see that aggressive of a block on someone that's 2 laps down on you.
Yeah, that's it. He just wants to stay in touch with Dance and Styles. Doesn't want anyone in the way. Barber's starting to fall back as O'Leary, with a great draft into turn 1, tries up the inside of Styles there. But again, unsuccessful. You've really got to nail your line through there on the inside to keep up the momentum. That battle for 5th on back as well, looking great, because Dean Mole has gotten back by Dwayne Burns, and Will Leslie moving down into 7th spot. And these cars all in a line. Mole, Burns, Leslie, Bowen, Otto, Stevens, Williams and Stadler. Of course, there's a couple of lapped cars in there with them, but still a very close pack.
Getting closer and closer.
Ooh. Around the outside, Thomas O'Leary. And that's interesting there from Styles. He picked up the car really nicely off the apex and stayed ahead just. He's got the draft of his teammates, so he'll be able to slot in front just before they get to turn 1. That's move protected once more for Mr. Styles. Gavin Barber's not having much luck getting by Matt Andrews, meanwhile. Barber wants to be a part of all of this, but The lapped Fitstar car in position 12, making life very difficult.
Here comes Styles. Not going to opt to go by Cameron Dance. That's not particularly surprising. And if Matt Andrews can get himself between O'Leary and the leader as well, Texans will be very happy with how things look. But if Leslie and everyone else that pitted under that caution are able to stretch their field an extra lap and reach the critical lap number, they'll only have to do one stop to get home, whereas Dance and everyone else has to do two. So Cameron Dance might be hoping for a caution here to help him out a bit.
Yes, with the way the field's spaced out, it's not looking likely at the moment, but these battle packs, as we've said, very close, so there's always that chance. One little mistake, tiny bit of contact can send a car flying up into the wall, and we've looked a couple of times at this now. Daniel Stevens in P9 facing off a double-pronged assault from DPR's Phil Otto and Stephen Williams. These two guys have worked their way back up into a potential top 10 position after all being involved in crashes. Goes to show their the resilience that these guys have and the shrewdness of saving their spare car for when it allegedly mattered the most. In the draft is Phil Otto on Daniel Stevens, going to stay behind into turn 3. But Stevens looking like with this kind of assault on him from behind, a top 10 might just slip away from him. Talking about slipping away, that top
Andrews
two.
and O'Leary again.
Yeah.
They're darting back and forth. O'Leary is just struggling for a bit of outright pace, it would seem, at the moment. The TechSense cars seem particularly strong.
Yeah, especially in the draft, they seem very strong. Can't quite get it done in the corners, and for O'Leary, that's where his advantage is. But having to defend from Matt Andrews here is just allowing Jack Styles and Cameron Dance to jet away in the lead. They're under no pressure. And now, Matt Andrews, a bit slow out of turn 4. It's going to give the opportunity to Gavin Barber to run by. It looks like he's going to get it done before they get to turn 1. So now Mr. O'Leary doesn't have to worry about the advances of Andrews. He does have to worry about Barber, potentially.
And that's the position, that one. Barber and O'Leary, so...
Yes.
I wonder if he prefers having back there. TechSense teammate or... car for position.
Yeah, I think a TechSense teammate for O'Leary would be the bigger concern right now, and I think it would be a concern for Gavin Barber, because you can see right there that Matt Andrews is not letting him get away. So we flick on back to Dwayne Burns briefly, checking on his progress. Will Leslie in the draft, trying his best to get on through, but I mean, you can just see Leslie is driving that car to the best of his ability right now, and it's just not advancing like he wants it to.
And let's listen, is he saving any fuel? Naturally he is, in behind these other cars of Burns and Mole. Down the straight, does he lift off the throttle at all? Nope.
Using the draft gear for good measure too, so I think he's losing his pace because of the way the car is performing when behind another machine. I mean, let's have a look coming down into 1 and 2. Watch Dwayne Burns just up ahead. They come on into the turn, and Leslie just tries to ease it towards the apex, but bit too much understeer, bit too much scrubbing of the fronts. He's not able to keep the momentum up.
He's edging closer to Burns.
He is, and unfortunately, it looks like Jonathan. Sorry, that is Daniel Stevens, in fact, that has made his way past there. Right in the midst of this battle now, Stevens working his way forward, bit by bit by bit. He is technically a lap down. Meanwhile, 15th and 16th, Jake Fox and Bradley Matheson. Another two guys that have found the wall today. Found other cars, having to work their way back up. But running nice and calmly there in 15th and 16th.
Those cars that did not...
Those cars that did not what? Don't leave me hanging, man.
Pit. When will they be in, Reese? About... Oh, hang on. There we go. My internet dropped out. The cars that did not pit, they'll probably be in what, 12 laps?
Yeah, something like that. Jay did say that the cars that last pitted would probably come back in around lap 210, so we'd probably have 19, 20 laps to go. Oh, there's just been a slight issue for our leader, and the caution is out. Dance, of course, not in any trouble, but he did make contact with Bradley Matheson, sending him up the circuit, and he's now at a standstill. That was contact through the first couple of turns.
Just a lack of awareness there from Matheson. I don't think he realised Dance was there much quicker than him. And it just turned down into him.
Yeah, through goes Dance. There was the contact, and Matheson sent sliding. Fortunately, he didn't make any contact with the wall. So aside from that side-by-side contact with Dance, his car is still relatively clean. He can keep going.
Dance's car's alright as well, luckily, for him.
Only seemed like to make
here.
contact.
Dance has just spun it under caution.
Oh, what? Okay, we're staying with the replay. My goodness, there is the incident with Matheson.
Did he find the fence?
Yeah, what on earth has happened to Cameron Dance?
Oh wow, did he? He's hit. He was hit. Wow.
Okay,
He
we're
was
about
hit
to
by
see.
his teammate Jack Styles.
Oh dear. Oh yeah, checking up for the pace car, and there was big rear end contact. Oh,
Come on.
that is such an awkward moment between teammates. And this is right when it matters too.
He better have a spare car. He's on
He
the rear
better.
wing. That is just...
Well,
that's that's what you'd call an inexcusable mistake on a teammate.
yeah. I mean, it was technically the team boss too, Jack Styles, the main man at TechSense Fitstye Motorsport. He is the Sty in the name of the team. But let's see if Cam Dance has the spare car ready to go. Yep, he does. Away it goes.
Well,
So-
that means him and Leslie have both used it.
Yep. That was a bit of a scare, and now there's going to be a little rain cloud hanging over the shoulders of those drivers. If they make one more mistake, or if cars around them make one more mistake, then it's going to be championship over for either of them.
This is awkward. Now none of them can make it home.
Everyone's going to have to pit again.
Yeah. There was no point staying out for Leslie and co because they would have been on such older tyres.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they could have stayed out and made it to the critical lap, but the older tyres would have hurt them quite a lot. And it was a free stop for Cameron Dance and everyone else as well. He is so fortunate he is still leading this race.
Yeah, you got that right. Phil Otto, the lead lap down car, should be let by the pace car very shortly.
And the rest. No lucky dogs, of course, just wave arounds.
Yes. So they'll be all right to go in a second, and Cameron Dance will reassume the lead behind the pace car. And Otto, of course, staying behind, electing not to go into the pits. Get back onto the back of the pack, and through they go then, as the wave arounds begin. So your top three then, Dance, Styles and O'Leary, as we had in the last stint of racing. And the Kinetic guys will know now that that Cameron Dance has used his spare car. He doesn't have anything to fall back on now. Will Leslie still quite a few positions behind in 6th place. But once they get off this restart, they'll have one more stop to go. They'll be hoping that it is under caution conditions, I think.
Well, we've seen the issues, haven't we? With green flag stops.
Yeah, having to slow all the way down at racing speed.
Fraser Ross, Jack Styles were the two that had issues, I think.
Yeah. Wasn't indeed them.
Looking for a restart this time.
We are indeed. In comes the pace car. Cameron Dance is going to lead them away. It looks like a very well coordinated start there. Seems like Styles actually went a little bit before Dance did, but it means that they're going to be first and second across the line. O'Leary has stuck with them. So that top three battle will resume, and it's going to be just as intense as it always was. Gavin Barber then, the front of the next pack as O'Leary, with a slightly better exit out of 1 and 2, trying on the two Fitstye cars. He's got the side draft, and through he goes, potentially grabbing the lead from Cameron Dance. He is ahead now. Great move from Thomas O'Leary as the pack behind. Look at them go. Gavin Barber right up in this. Matt Andrews still a lap down. Daniel Stevens is going to get by him and get by Barber as well.
Whoop, a little bit of contact behind. Dean Mole just tagged the back of Matt Andrews. They get away with it. And go away, Cat. Jack Styles was very aggressively covering off his teammate through the tri-oval, moving in front of Gavin Barber on that opening lap.
Playing the team game perfectly, but Gavin Barber is continuing to advance forward. There's Will Leslie down in 6th place. He's looking for a way through on Matt Andrews there, just up ahead, but Andrews has made it hard for people in the past. Is it going to be difficult for Leslie? Down the back straight they go. And hearing from our director that O'Leary is starting to have internet issues. He's actually dropped out, and Gavin Barber now into the lead. That was unexpected.
What a run. But immediately coming back at him, Cameron Dance. Back by, retaking the race lead. And Jack Styles trying to follow him through. Where is Will Leslie? Leslie is running 5th. On the outside of Matt Andrews now.
Yeah, he's got both Matt Andrews and Daniel Stevens to get by before he can start battling cars for position again. He's got to be very careful here. Up on the outside, Dean Mole gets Gavin Barber up ahead, and Leslie now into the draft of Daniel Stevens. He's starting to drag along Jonathan Bain, and
wow. Jack Styles and Dean Mole come together. That checks them both up. It slows up Gavin Barber as well. Here comes Will Leslie with the run. I think it's Dwayne Burns that's capitalized and moved to 3rd.
Yeah, looks like Burns is in.
Oh, sorry, that was Daniel Stevens, the lap down car.
Yeah, so Daniel. Yeah, and here comes Dwayne Burns up on Dean Mole on the outside. Mole though with a great arc through the corner keeps it up. We now have 50 laps to go. in this race. And Mole gets past Barber for 4th place. Will Leslie now up into 3rd. Daniel Stevens getting his lap back on these leaders. Great stuff. And he'll be hoping that the caution comes out right now so he can just jet back up to the back of the pack. But no, Cameron Dance is going to try and take this right back from Daniel Stevens. Will Leslie now up behind Jack Styles.
Does it feel like the intensity level's raised on this restart?
Yeah, it went from 0 to 100 in like a second. There goes Will Leslie trying up the inside of Jack Styles. He's got the draft from Stevens down on the inside. Dean Mole moves down as well. Cameron Dance has to stay a bit high to give Stevens some room. Remember, this is the leader and a lapped car fighting for that front position in the pack. Leslie with the draft once again. He slips back up to the outside. He's gotten past Jack Styles, has to cover him again on the inside. And now he's got the run on Stevens and Dance. Switches back up to the outside of the track.
It is not good for Dance having to fight Stevens here. But Stevens, if he gets ahead of Dance and the caution flies, he'll get the lap back. He'll be on the lead lap. So without having to do anything funky in the caution. So this is really crucial for him as well. And he is not going to give up.
He's
Will
going for it
Leslie
again.
is going to try to follow him.
Confirmed retirement for Thomas O'Leary, by the way. Those internet issues unable to be resolved, and Daniel Stevens switches back down to the inside. Will Leslie has the double draft now. Jack Styles is right there with him to try and protect Cameron Dance, but unable to get ahead before they get to the midpoint of the corner. Now he's under attack from Dean Mole. Thomas O'Leary is back in the server meanwhile. We could see him back out on track before the end, but we ride on board once again with Jack Styles. This is the top 3 battle. That NFR car of Daniel Stevens, remember, is a lap down on these guys, side by side, between Mr. Leslie and Mr. Styles. Oh, and just slipping into the gap between the 2 kinetic cars goes Jack. And Mole round the outside. Can he get this done? Oh no, the contact gets into the wall. He keeps going though. Mole is going to have some big suspension damage, and he's missing part of his front wing as well, but at the very least, he can still keep going. But that's a big shame for Mole after being in the running for a podium position. That's gone now.
Yeah. Just wasn't enough room. Well, I mean, there was obviously, but the track's wide enough. But Jack Styles was committed, I think, and didn't want to lift off, and as Mole got around the outside of him, he just washed up into his left side. Meanwhile, Stevens has got back ahead of Dance, and Will Leslie is not exactly going with them.
Yeah, Leslie's fallen back over the last lap or so. Dance and Stevens run side by side through turn 1 as Jack Styles continues trying to attack Will Leslie here. Wants to stymie the advance as much as he can. Daniel Stevens still down on the inside as he and Cam Dance just cannot leave each other alone right now. I get the feeling, though, that Cam Dance might just be okay with this for the time being. He is still getting a great draft from Daniel Stevens as we see Dean Mole come on into the pits. Stevens ahead. And Dance with the run round the outside again. Will Leslie is starting to take advantage. He's edging closer and closer, truly within draft range now. We're 5 laps to the critical lap number. Anyone who pits after that point will be able to get home on fuel. Down to the inside goes Dance. Holding station behind Stevens. I don't know if that was the right thing to do because Will Leslie has got the momentum now. Right onto the bumper. And the championship lead battle in the lead of the race is truly back. What can Leslie do here coming into 3 and 4? He goes to the inside. Dance gives him a little bit of room. He can see him in his mirrors, but a bit of a wider arc through the corner for Cam allows him to maintain more pace.
How was that momentum swing then? As soon as Leslie got to the back of Dance, it pushed Dance forward all the way to Daniel Stevens.
Yeah.
It's going to happen again
amazing. Here. It looks like it. Oh, Leslie and Styles. Oh, Jack Styles looking for a way through. trying his best, but no. And there goes Leslie. Down the inside of Cam Dance. Daniel Stevens has broken away from them. And this could be the change of position for the lead that Leslie was hoping for. Dance covers him off down the front stretch. Down into turn 1 once again. This is incredibly intense.
Now, what do they do with the fuel and the pit stop? Surely you have to wait. You can't get caught out by a caution.
Yeah, I'd say if I were in a position like this, I'd just try and run the tank out. I'd run it out as much as I can, hope for a caution. If the caution doesn't come, then that's that. There goes Will Leslie into the lead. We have a new leader, but for how long? Cameron
Behind
Styles.
Styles lost the car behind. Had a big slide, gathered it up, but he's lost all his momentum. And Dwayne Burns has gone by him. Jonathan Bain's trying to do the same thing, and he's been hit, and Bain slides and catches it.
Wow. Great save. I mean, I'm so impressed by some of the saves that we've seen, but I think Jonathan Bain is going to be quite unhappy with that. As we see Phil Otto come out of the pits again. It was almost horrible incident there between those two drivers. But Will Leslie now remaining in the lead, and he's got the draft from Daniel Stevens. Seems he's doing enough to keep himself ahead of Cameron Dance, and this is the critical lap that they are on right now, and in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, they've just passed it. So any of these guys can pit any time after this, and they will be able to go on just one more pit stop. Stephen Williams bringing it in for DPR.
There are two cars out front, and they are the two cars fighting for the championship. There's a laps car up there as well. Daniel Stevens fighting to keep the lead lap. 13 rounds when it comes to this. 35 laps left. One more pit stop.
And of course, whoever finishes ahead is the champion. Going over what we said up at the top of the show. If Cameron Dance wins, and Will Leslie finishes in second, Dance will win the championship by 4 points. But as long as Leslie finishes ahead of Dance, he has got it. He currently holds the championship lead. So now, this is just the last little bit where Dance needs to bide his time, wait and see what Leslie does in terms of strategy, and then try and respond as quickly as he can. They might go into the pits at the same time if they can.
Not this lap.
Yeah, I think they're both waiting for a caution. Because you don't want to be the guy that sticks his neck out, jumps into the pits under green flag conditions, then the caution comes out and your rival has a free stop.
But if you pit, do one lap, caution comes out, you're still on the lead lap, you'll cycle back to the front with tyres pretty much equal.
Well, those are the possibilities playing out in the drivers' heads at the moment. For the time being, Cameron Dance and Will Leslie, it's just gritted teeth and white-knuckle grip on the steering wheel as they make their way around this Auto Club Speedway. Ilya Sharmov bringing it into the pits, as is Jake Fox. They've made quite a few trips into the pits today. Dance now starting to search for a couple of other lines around Will Leslie. As you can see Daniel Stevens at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, he's gone. It's great pace for him out in the front.
And this means that Leslie is no longer being towed along, and Dance is naturally faster because of the tow. Stadler into the lane. He was running 13th. In fact, he still will be because he's got 2 laps over 14th.
Well, you might as well take a pit stop at that point. At least this means now that Stadler will be able to make it home. There's Gavin Barber fighting with Jack Styles for 4th and 5th, and Barber just getting ahead of Styles at the line. I'm really impressed with Gavin Barber's form in this final stint. Didn't pay much attention to him through the first half of this event, but since the last couple of cautions, Barber has come alive in that MFR machine and looking good for a potential podium if he can get past Dwayne Burns.
I think Burns is catching. 33 on, 33 on. Yep. Dwayne Burns drawing up to the back of Leslie and Dance, and he's dragging Barber with him. Jack Styles as well. So they're closing in again.
Looking forward to this.
Bradley Matheson's about to get lapped again. Ilya Shamov is about to encounter the same fate.
Yeah, Matheson lifting off and letting our leaders go here. Cameron Dance moving up to the outside, trying to get a little whisper of a draft there from Bradley, but moves immediately back to the inside to keep up the fight on Will Leslie. And through they go. Matheson's going to have to go wide again to let 3rd, 4th and 5th by. But Dwayne Burns' pace is looking really good at the moment. He's got the draft there on Bradley Matheson. That'll give him a little bit of extra pace coming into 3 and 4. Oh, slides up the circuit a little bit though, does Dwayne Burns. That's going to leave him open to an attack from Gavin Barber on the inside, at least for the time being, but covers him off across the line again.
Jack Styles contact with Matheson into the fence. Caution's going to fly.
Yeah,
As that car goes flying.
right. Oh, it looks... was that Matheson, Jay? Styles. Styles. Okay, we just got word that Styles accidentally downshifted to 4th. And that's part of the reason why this happened. So we'll ride on board with him with this modem simulation replay. Oh, yeah, there we go. Gets back up into 5th place. And, well, I mean, at that point, you get a little flustered, like, oh my goodness, what's wrong? Matheson was there.
Turn right.
So here's the other view, and it looks like Styles actually hit the apron just after that as well, so that's another contributor to that incident. After the pit stops are done, we're going to check back in with a couple of drivers who hit the wall earlier. We're going to get another view of those incidents.
Did both of them come off the side of Styles as well?
I think they might have.
They're having a rough time.
Yeah, having a very rough time. But when it comes to pit stops, I would be surprised if everyone did not jump into the pits here. Dance and Burns are looking for it. Will Leslie is looking for it.
They're all coming, Reese. They're all coming. It'll be
there we
suicide.
go. Yeah, it's going to be. Well, actually, we just say that, and Thomas O'Leary back out there, 15th place. They're all lapped cars, of course, so they can afford to stay out.
Pit road's not open for them.
Yeah, true.
Will there be a change between Leslie and Dance then in the lane?
Time to monitor pit stop times. So it looks like for Cameron Dance, 8.2 seconds. For Will Leslie, 8.4 seconds. And that's very close between the two of them on exit.
I reckon
looks
Dance
like-
beat him. Just wait
Yeah.
till after the out of pit radio. I
Yeah.
reckon Dance beat him.
Well, we shall see. Monitoring pit exit. Yeah. Looks like Cameron might have just gotten him. We'll have a look here. Just at the line. Yeah, Dance was ahead.
But does iRacing agree?
That is the question. It looks like the answer is no. Right then. We'll have a look at what happened here to Jonathan Bain. And of course, that was the contact with Jack Styles. A great save from Jonathan Bain to keep that thing going straight. Just a case of, you know, ever so slight contact. I mean, the car's already loaded up massively at that point of the corner, so the slightest tap can send you flying. Here's what happened to Dean Mole. Riding on board with him on the exit of 1 and 2. Let's see what happens once they actually get into the turn. Mole with the run around the outside. Just a slight bit of contact as the TechSense car understeered off the bottom. And a couple of good whacks to the wall for Dean Mole, but didn't look like huge visual damage, but obviously mechanical damage aplenty for Dean.
So it's going to come down to a sprint race to decide of the championship.
And
Who's
what a
your money
sprint
on?
race. I don't want to make a choice personally because I still think it could go either way with these drivers. Will Leslie has the championship momentum, obviously, but Dance is no stranger to fighting hard for positions, and he's always a good racer. So whatever happens in this final stint of the race, we've got one heck of a conclusion to this International Majors Championship. Will Leslie's going to lead them away as the green flag flies, but there's actually a crash at the back, and we're not going green. That was Harold Stadler and Ilya Sharmov having a crash at the back there, and it looks like it was Sharmov coming in way too quick. Oh no. What's going on?
Jonathan Bain has spun and hit the fence.
Everyone just going for the start and then only to be told that they were in fact not going green.
Can we please get a replay of how the pace car rejoined the racetrack?
Yeah, well, as we see, Ilya Sharmov getting into Harold Stadler, the field was checking up, and I think Sharmov should have slowed down a little bit earlier there. But, of course, Ryan requesting a view of how the pace car rejoined the track, and I'm hearing this was quite interesting.
Wait for it.
I'm waiting.
Come on. Any second now.
Oh, there we go. Righto. I mean, look, when you got to get to the track, you got to get to the track, right?
Yeah.
So there we go. A couple of other cars back into the pits now. We have Matheson in the pits. We have Stadler in the pits. We have Ilya Sharmov in the pits. So we're going to have to wait a couple of laps extra as we see the end of the incident for Jonathan Bain. Just a very awkward restart. Well, we get a couple of extra minutes to catch our breath now, Ryan. This is going to be only 20 laps or so. Sprint to the finish, maybe 22 laps, if that.
So I feel like Dance has the better outright speed. The TechSense cars seem very fast outright. But Leslie's been able to control position very well.
Yeah. If there is one thing you can say about Will Leslie this race is that when he's had cars behind him, he's been able to maintain position more or less. I think what he needs is for his teammates to get back up there. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do that in the very short allotted time they have. We'll have to wait and see, though. We're coming up to a restart. Pace car up to the pits.
In a second.
In a second, yes. I'm just wringing my hands thinking, this could still go either way. We got to think about Dwayne Burns and Gavin Barber up there as well. They are a proper threat for the win here.
Well, don't say that 14-round seasons can't give you close championship fights at the end.
Exactly. We're about to see how all of that stacks up. In comes the pace car, hopefully for the final time, and we're going to go racing. Will Leslie is going to lead them away. When does he decide to go? The green flag flies, and Will Leslie waits for the green flag call to go. So Cameron Dance has stayed with him now on the restart and starting to get a better run as they come up to turns 1 and 2. Cameron Dance moves to the outside.
Check out Burns. Here comes Dwayne Burns. What a run he's got. What does he do with it? Has to wait. Can't do anything. And
Leslie
Dance to the lead.
Oh boy, here we go.
I think that was a misplay on that restart for Leslie to wait so long.
Yeah,
Going
I agree.
on green as well.
Yeah, Cameron Dance was able to line that up beautifully, but it's not over. Leslie now tries to round the outside as Gavin Barber's up into 3rd place and now starting to threaten for the lead. Burns moved back. Daniel Stevens, well, I think Daniel Stevens got his lap back for sure when the caution came out, and now he's battling for 4th. We've got 2 MFR cars in the top 5. What a great turn of events for that team as they come across the line to begin lap 232. Almost 3 wide. Gavin Barber on the outside. He cannot do anything. Daniel Stevens now looking for a way past Will Leslie, but nothing doing for him at the moment. We know that...
Dance.
Oh, yeah, look at Dan all the way down to the inside. But Daniel Stevens, here he comes indeed, and he's going to go through into the lead of the race. Coming through turns 3 and 4. Well, it's not going to look much different from Dance and Leslie's perspective, but it is for position. And have a look at Gavin Barber as they all check up. They are a pack of 5 across the start-finish line. What can Dance do around the outside of Stevens? Not much at the moment. He's got to wait for the exit. Will Leslie is still on the inside, though. He might try to go between Stevens and Dance, but nothing doing at the moment. There's Jack Styles trying on Dwayne Burns, but Burns covers him off and moves to the inside.
Dance moving down in front of Leslie. It's so tough now. They're fighting for the championship honours. They've got all these other cars amongst them. They can't make all the moves they'd want to make. And Daniel Stevens is in the same spot he was about 20 laps ago, except back then he was a lap down. It has paid off.
It has.
For a win.
And his MFR teammate of Gavin Barber looking to try and make it 2 MFR cars on the podium. Oh, there we go. Stevens between Dance and Leslie. Slight bit of contact between Stevens and Leslie. And that means that they've fallen slightly back to Dance. But once they get back onto the start-finish straight, it all comes back together. Dance goes wide again. That's where he's comfortable there in the middle of the circuit, forcing Stevens to use up his tyres a little bit more on the inside. Here comes Leslie again. No way past.
3 wide, he's in the middle of 3. That was awkward.
Whoa. Yeah, that almost went belly up there for all those drivers, but Will Leslie with a slightly better exit than Daniel Stevens down the straight. He's trying to move in and get the draft from Dance, but there's no room. Daniel Stevens right up to the rear diffuser of the champion, the reigning champion rather, and back behind the bumper of the championship leader.
Here we go, look at the run, look at the run. Oh. Dance covers, Leslie to the outside, down the back straight, 15 to go, they bang wheels and they touch. And they keep on going. The championship is on the line. It's all or nothing for these two.
I'm shaking, man. I'm shaking. This is crazy. Daniel
Here comes
Stevens
again. He's bumped after him. Look at that.
What? Okay, now it's crunch time. Now it is crunch time. Could Daniel Stevens take a surprise victory in the final round of the season? And who is going to come out on top in the championship? Leslie covers off Stevens. He covers him off again. Cameron Dance just has to stick to the inside. 3 wide into turn 3. Dance just ahead.
That's dangerous because they're 3 wide, but Dance and Stevens wouldn't be getting the 3 wide call because they're only 2 wide. If you know what I mean. It's a staggered 3. And again, look how tight they're cushioning each other.
Yeah,
They touch again! Leslie up the track. Back to 4th he might go here. And he will. Behind Barber and Stevens for the lead.
Here we go then. What will Cam Dance do? Will he try and stay into the lead? Or will he fall behind Barber and Stevens, try and secure 3rd?
Laps car coming up, down on the inside apron, staying out of the way.
Good stuff there. We race on. So now it's Stevens and Barber in a middle finger racing 1-2 at the moment. But Cameron Dance with the exit round the outside. He's going to try and stay with the MFR boys. Will Leslie not able to respond at the present time. He is still in the draft of Dance though. So there is still a very slim chance that Will Leslie can get back by him. We're coming up now on 12 laps to go.
Stevens, Dance, Barber, Leslie, and Burns, your top 5. And Jack Styles as well is in amongst it. There's 1 second across your top 7 as Stevens trying to shake off Dance, who's on the outside now. The 2 MFR cars holding station down low. All championship rivals trying to do battle around their outside. Has Leslie got any damage from that contact? No, he doesn't. He got away with it earlier on.
It will have rattled him slightly though. He continues fighting against Gavin Barber there up to the inside, and it's so painful watching the understeer out of those corners. It's excruciating. But Cameron Dance trying again around the outside of Daniel Stevens. Stevens is placing his car perfectly, as is Barber. They are not allowing either Dance or Leslie to get by them, and Leslie might lose another position here because here comes Dwayne Burns. He's going to move up to the outside. Leslie still trying on Gavin Barber. This is giving the chance to the Avatar Auto Racing machine as the leaders continue to go side by side through turn
Trouble
1.
behind them. Caution's going to come out.
That's a huge smash. Jonathan Bain, Thomas O'Leary, Stephen Williams, and Jack Styles too. Styles was running in 5th just before that.
We have no overtime finishes. We're going to have 1 more restart in this race.
And to the replay for Modem Simulation. There's Jack Styles getting passed by Jonathan Bain, but just gets the... he gets the apron, then Bain gets into... O'Leary. That was Thomas O'Leary there. The innocent victim, I think, in all of that. The ever so slight bit of contact. Once more. Here's the onboard.
Well, Jack Styles, unfortunately, gets the apron. He gets away with it for once, but then gets caught up in another wreck because of it.
Whew, that was quite the view that O'Leary had there of Styles on the ground as he spun up and over.
This restart's going to come. Lap 245, I think they'll restart onto. End of lap 244, they'll see the pace car peel off, which gives us 6 laps to the end. No room for another... Wow. No room for another caution, I don't think. Even if it came on the first lap of the restart. So, this is intense now. MFR Racing into pit lane.
Oh, hello.
And Dwayne Burns. Leaving
Right.
Dance and Leslie.
Here we go, guys. Here we go. It's going to be between the 2 of them for the finish. So it looks like the MFR cars wouldn't have had enough fuel to make it home. Either that, or they're putting on some fresh rubber for a final lob at a good position. So Stevens and Barber all come in. O'Leary is in the pits with damage. Burns, Styles, Gavin Barber is away.
Everyone pitted on the lead lap except the championship rivals. That is going to make things interesting because...
They're going to get swamped.
No, they're not. The laps cars are going to give them the cushion.
Ah, yes.
Matt Andrews, Shane Bowen, Dean Mole. 3 of them. 3 of them between the top 2, and the rest.
Alrighty then. So there's Stevens in third. Yeah, you can see that there's 3 cars between him and the 2 leaders. Remains to be seen how quickly he can make his way past them.
When we go back green, 6 laps to go. We have gone racing this year at Daytona for the road course. We've been to Daytona for the oval. We've been at Rockingham, Zandvoort, Charlotte, Indianapolis, Le Mans, Road America, Knoxville, Spa, Lucas Oil Raceway, Watkins Glen, Mount Panorama, and now Auto Club. And after all of that, it comes down to 6 laps.
And those 6 laps are going to go by like that, because the lap times around here only 30 seconds. It's going to be 3 minutes, 180 seconds of time that decides this. Daniel Stevens there, up ahead of the lapped cars.
Yeah, that's right. Lapped cars get put to the back with less than 10 laps to go.
That they do.
Bad news for Dance and Leslie. This is going to be tough for everyone involved, because there's going to be a fight for the lead going on while the championship rivals battle it out and go backwards at the same time.
Yeah.
You would think.
Well, it all depends, I think, on how they coordinate the start, because Stevens and Barber there in third and fourth, they'll be right on it. They'll be monitoring what Dance and Leslie are doing. But Cameron Dance will have the liberty of going whenever he likes. He needs to make sure that he catches Leslie out if he wants to win, because otherwise Leslie stays with him, and that is a last lap move and championship over. But we'll have to wait and see. 6 laps to go here at Auto Club Speedway. It's the final round of the International Division of the Majors Series, and we have a champion to crown. Pace car down to the bottom. Race cars up to the top. And in comes the pace car into the pits. It's all on Cameron Dance now.
Look how close he is.
So close, and he is away. It looks like he has caught Leslie out a little bit, down to the bottom, weaving up and down the circuit. Everyone follows him. We are away for the final 6 laps here at Auto Club Speedway, and Will Leslie close to Daniel Stevens. Dance has to absolutely cane that car now if he wants any chance of staying in this lead. But Daniel Stevens on the fresher tyres now, looking to pass Will Leslie. He's going to go to the inside. No, maybe outside. Covered off by Leslie. And now that the cars are up to speed, the draft has come into it. And Dance is in trouble. 5 to go now. Leslie goes for it. Across the line, round the outside. Stevens tries to make it 3 wide. Contact once again between Leslie and Dance.
That's the 3rd time.
Stay calm, guys. Look at Stevens. Look at Stevens. Oh.
Stevens is going to go here down this back straight. Look behind as well, as Gavin Barber's got an almighty run. He's going to follow his teammate through.
Dance is right in the middle of all this, and Will Leslie. You couldn't put a piece of paper between the two of them. What a crossover indeed.
The inside of him. He's going to follow in the wake of the MFR cars. And Leslie's back to the lead of the championship. 3rd on the racetrack.
Oh, have a look at the cars behind. Phil Otto, right in it at the very end. He's going to get both of them in one corner.
Don't hit him. Don't hit him.
Oh, don't hit him, guys. Come on. The momentum is still there, though, for the championship leaders. A bit of a side draft there for Will Leslie as Otto moves on through into turn 3. Positions lost left, right, and centre for our championship leaders. But what matters is that Will Leslie is ahead. He still has the championship lead. Dance goes down to the apron to try and move past Leslie.
It's out of bounds. It's out of bounds. You can't go down there, Dance.
Yeah. Did he complete the move while he was down there?
Contact and Leslie get up the track, and that might kill him. That might be the race.
That might be it. Past goes Dwayne Burns.
But Dance, though, he might be in trouble. This might not be decided at the checkered flag.
Yeah, I don't think so. That's going to have to be down to race control. Will Leslie, though, still right on the back of him. Stephen Williams moves on past Dance for 5th place, sorry. And this lead, Phil Otto, is right with the two MFR cars, and Dwayne Burns is there with him as well. Cameron Dance is still ahead of Will Leslie. I think there might have been a bit too much damage for Leslie from that contact. Burns
3 wide
trying.
for second.
3 wide for second indeed. Phil Otto has come out of nowhere here and looking good for at least a second place as the final lap begins for Daniel Stevens out in the front. He's got his teammate of Gavin Barber right behind him. Otto slots back in behind. Cameron Dance tries to get a move back on Stephen Williams. It looks like Daniel Stevens has the run. He has what it takes now to win, but it's on for third. Can Phil Otto defend from Dwayne Burns? Final corner then for these guys. It's the last lap of the Majors season, and Daniel Stevens is going to come across the line to win at Fontana. Gavin Barber makes it an MFR 1-2, and Phil Otto gets on the podium for DPR. What a great finish with Dwayne Burns in fourth and Stephen Williams in fifth.
We don't know who won the championship because
that's it.
Dance crossed the line ahead of him, so he should win, but I'm looking back now as there's an incident between Leslie and Dance. Leslie is not happy.
Was that a brake check I just saw?
Additional rules and procedures for the event. Below the apron line is out of bounds. Cars should go there to avoid an incident and never to advance position or time. Cameron Dance made the overtake on the apron.
We need to take another look at it. We need to take another look at it. I want to see what the exact margin was.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. He went down there to go alongside him and pass him.
Yeah, I know, but I want to see what the margin was.
He came back on the racetrack and completed it, but he went down there to advance his position.
Yeah. Yeah, righto. I just took a look at it there. We're going to see another angle of it. It looks like Will Leslie is your champion then. That's
he's got it.
Yeah, well, I reckon he has, but the rule book is going to say something different. There's the move down there, and you can see Dance advances his position, yes, by going down to the apron and draws alongside Leslie. They do make a bit of contact. As they both come back onto the racetrack, Dance is still behind, but that move, I think, still not on. So
you can only go down there to... He advanced... It doesn't matter where he passed him. The fact is he gained a major advantage by going to the apron. Well,
yeah, okay.
Let's do this. Get to the interviews. Come on.
yeah, of course. Well, those are your results then. It's Daniel Stevens and Gavin Barber, MF Racing Pro and Sports 1 and 2, with Phil Otto completing the podium. Burns and Williams complete your top 5. And I think Gavin Barber's done enough to secure the Sportsman Championship from Stephen Williams there. Cameron Dance in 6th with Will Leslie 7th, but that position might just change if Race Control has anything to say about it. Dean Moll, Shane Bowen, and Matt Andrews round out your top 10.
14 rounds. The checkered flag flies, and there's still no official champion.
Yeah, oh God.
Jack Stiles was 11th, Jonathan Bain 12th, O'Leary, Stadler, these are all retirements now, Matheson, Fox, Shamov, Critchley, Cousin, Nicole, Hawkins, Ross, Silver, and Chloe. My microphone's falling down in all the excitement. Let's grab Dan Stevens and have a chat to our race winner, eh?
Yeah, I think that is an excellent idea. Daniel Stevens now joins us in the commentary box. Daniel, congratulations. You won. How does it feel?
Feels bloody awesome, man. Oops, sorry for swearing, but leave it to the last race to get a win for the season is bloody. I can't be much, any happier.
Yeah, I'll bet you can't because it was all set up by your final pit stop there. I did notice, you were a bit off strategy compared to everyone else, and fighting with the leaders when you were almost a lap down. Of course, when the caution came out, that allowed you to take that pit stop and take advantage of the fresh tyres.
Yeah, well, right from the beginning, mate, right from where I got it up in the pits, I was on fuel saving the whole time, pretty much the whole stint, until that stint that I actually was with the leaders, and I had to get in front to get my lap back. Otherwise, that was it. So it was full on from there.
And that final battle in those final laps looked incredibly intense, but between you guys, the racing was incredibly clean as well. Must have felt good, especially after seeing how many cautions we got that race.
Yeah, I was a bit worried with that. Someone had a really bad connection, and there was just puffs of smoke all the time. And honestly, it blinded you. You didn't know if it was a crash or just that connection issue. But once you got past that, it was like you said, it was clean racing. It was good.
Well, Harold Stadler may have claimed the Legends title, but you've come away with the last laugh, getting the top spot on the podium, Daniel. And obviously, that would set you up really well for next season. What are MF Racing's plans?
Yeah, we're definitely coming back. We're going to come back bigger and better. Maybe some more cars on the grid to really make a statement.
Well, we'll certainly see how that goes for you guys. Before we let you go, Dan, is there anyone that you would like to thank from your top spot on the podium?
Yeah, mate, sure have got a fair few. WP Concreting, Snap-on Tools Blacktown, Aussie Signs and Designs, Andrew Crane Hire, Virtual Car Art, Little Tackers, Vassal Racing Team, Gary Motorsports, HPX Industries, all the boys at MF are just a great bunch of guys, and of course you guys and the majors.
Thank you very much, Daniel Stevens, race winner in the final round here at the Auto Club Speedway. And interesting note that that Jay said to us, all the cars on the podium were a lap down at some point in the race. So it was an incredible way to cap things off. The next driver we're going to talk to is Gavin Barber, MF Racing Sports. G'day, Gavin. It's a 1-2 for MF Racing. Of course, different sub-teams, but still a great result for you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Reese. That was awesome. That was one of the best races I think I've run in all season, and great way to finish the season. Don't think I was up far enough to get ahead of Stephen Williams, to get points ahead of him. He did pretty well too. So congrats to him for the Sportsman Championship.
Yes, indeed. Unfortunately, I got my names mixed up just before, so I do apologize to the viewers out there. But Gavin, you really came alive in the final third of the race, working through those cautions. I know that Daniel Stevens was going for the fuel save strategy very early on. What were you doing?
Flat out all the way. That's all.
Well, it's worked out really well for you, and a second place. So a great way to cap off the season. And Daniel's telling me that we are aiming for some full representation at MF Racing next season. I can't wait to see your cars back out there again.
Yeah, certainly hoping to do that. Planning on getting everybody up on the grid, and it's good to see the team's doing so well. And credit to Daniel leading that team, and all our sponsors. We thank all of them as well.
Thank you very much, Gavin Barber. Second place there in the final round. And the final driver interview of the night. Certainly didn't think I'd be speaking to Phil Otto at the end of the night, but here you are, Phil, third place. A great result for DPR there.
Wow, what a race. How good was that fun? That's excellent.
Yeah, it seemed like quite the hectic race for you guys, especially starting down in the mid-pack. Those cautions to start off the race, it was just a case of drivers getting used to this circuit and used to this type of racing.
Yeah, it certainly was. We actually had to use our spare car after about 10 laps, and since from then on, we just had to really take it easy and just plan our race and slowly, gradually work our way up. Thankfully, it worked.
Yeah, it's going, Phil.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, I bet it seemed like that from your perspective, but from our perspective up in the commentary box, it looked like a very shrewd usage of the cautions to advance yourself forward. How big is the undercut on these fresh tyres? Because we heard that the difference between used and new tyres is immense around here.
Oh, it's huge. It really is. It'd be at least 5/10 of a second average out over a run. So, if you can get that undercut and gradually level your tyres out, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it worked out.
Well, certainly did with that third place for you. And next season, obviously, looking like quite a nice prospect having visited the podium.
The plan is to make this not first and hopefully get a few more. So I plan to be getting there again. So do my best. That's all you can do.
That's it, Phil. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Is there anyone that you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for all you do for the sim community in Australia, televising this stuff. Mike and his team from Majors, awesome work the whole year. Need to thank DPR, Simrigs DPR, for all the support they give us, all their teammates, their partners. Steve O. Williams, sportsman champion, mate. Awesome job all year. Thanks, boys.
Yeah, big congratulations to Stephen Williams, and thank you very much for joining us, Phil Otto from DPR Racing. Okay, Ryan, here we go. This is going to be...
drag both of them in at once, did you?
I did drag them both in at once, and we're going to talk to Cam first. You stood by with him.
All right, Cameron, I think... firstly, that was a fantastic race, and all race long, a brilliant battle between you and Will, which has to be commended. But I think you know the question that's coming next. That move, your thoughts?
Put it this way, I'll just let the stewards decide on it. I would prefer not to make any comment.
I think that's fair. I mean, I think that's a good choice at the end. It is the stewards that will decide the outcome there. Move's been made, and it's up to them to finish us off now. Now, in terms of the race, it was good. It looked like a fantastic fight out there. A lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a heck of a race, to be honest. I really knew it was going to be more or less a pack race, and then obviously all those dudes that pitted under that very late caution and put new tyres on. I didn't actually think it was going to be that big of an advantage, but it clearly was. So it was probably a little bit touch and go as to whether I was going to do that, but at the end, it was still a really, really good race.
You actually had a penalty earlier on in the race, we think. Oh, wait, no, you did, because you had to pit afterwards. What was that for? Passing the pace car?
Yeah, passing the pace car for some odd reason, even though I was behind it, which, yeah, I'm still bewildered as to how that happened, but it happened at the end of the day, and with the number of cautions we got, it actually didn't hurt me too bad in the end, which was, I guess, a consolation to it, but yeah.
Are you happy with the championship overall, regardless of the end result? Are you happy with how you performed over the season?
Not particularly. I mean, it's been a pretty average year all over. I mean, there's been several rounds where it's either been bad luck or I've just been a complete spud. So, yeah, not the most perfect championship. And obviously with it being winless as well doesn't really help. But, yeah, it's just one of those things that's happened this year, unfortunately. So it's take it as it is, really.
Well, congratulations on a season well-driven. And congrats on giving us plenty to talk about in this final race. Who are the people that you want to thank who helped you all season long?
Yeah, first of all, shout out to the boys at Fitstyle Motorsport for their hard work all season long, and then Tech Sensors, Renville Harnesses, Demon Twigs, Fight Collective Cancer, you guys for putting on an awesome show all season, and Mike for putting on an awesome series all season as well, and then Will for the awesome fighting all season as well.
Thank you very much, Cameron. Good job once again. So, Reese, you got Will with you.
I have indeed. Hello, Will. And, congratulations on another very well-driven season from you. Starting off this race, your thought process going into it, just finish ahead of Cam, right?
Yeah, well, that's how you're going to win the championship, and just finishing one position ahead of him would have sealed the deal. But, obviously we go out there to win races, and I think we're in pretty bloody good position to do that. Tonight we had a really quick car. Big shout out to Liam Quinn. He's done a terrific job on the race setups, and we've put in tons of practice this week. And that was the plan.
And I guess you'd probably give a similar answer to Cam on the question of the move. Let the stewards decide.
Yeah, mate. Let's leave it up to the competition committee. I think we could throw words around all night about that, but I think it's pretty black and white there. So yeah, make of that what you will.
All right, I shall. And I guess moving forward into next season, you've obviously got a lot to be proud of in 2020. So 2021 for Kinetic is looking pretty good too.
Yeah, I guess 2021 Let's hope it's nothing like 2020 in terms of what's going on in the world. I'm 50-50 on my commitment, but I think Kinetic will be behind the Majors series 100%.
Well, we'll certainly see. And I guess one final question to send this off. I guess your car this race, working in the mid pack. There seem to be a couple of issues with losing pace in the corners, but obviously your runs down the straights were really good as well, and that was thanks to the guy who built all your setups.
Yeah, look, our setup was actually tuned for quite good traffic tyre wear and consistency through there. Maybe I was getting a little hot under the collar and trying to push up a little bit, but I think you could see what we were doing throughout the race with a couple of my teammate cars, and just trying to save fuel and make the strategy work like we did at Indianapolis 500.
Well, either way, that's the way things go. We're not going to get an official champion called for quite some time after this broadcast ends, but it was certainly a great season nonetheless. Before we let you go, Will, anyone that you would like to thank?
Hey, look, just the whole team at Majors. Mike and the whole crew put on a terrific series, and this year's been really good. The track selection and everything's been really good. Whether or not I performed to the best of my ability, up to you guys. The rest of the team at Kinetic, we worked really hard this week. And, of course, the Majors Garage, it's a really good initiative set up by Mike to set up a subscription-based setup shop, basically, and you can subscribe for setups of all kinds of cars. Oh, and our play as well. He's terrific.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Will Leslie, and thank you very much, Cameron Dance, the two championship protagonists. Which one of them is going to be on top at the end of this certainly remains to be seen. But either way, Ryan, what a way to finish the season. I mean, I guess it's still not technically finished yet.
Typical Majors. It always erupts at the end of the race. And for the final race of the year, it was cataclysmic. I don't know. I think we and I both made our points clear on that move, and they're very respectable, which is good. I mean, they're both very well-centered, mature drivers, so
I thought they handled it very professionally.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll get a champion. Either one of them is deserving. We'll be back next year, and the battle will resume, I'm sure, and it will be fantastic.
Absolutely, and that is, of course, where we sign off as SimSpeed for the International Division of the Majors Series. But don't forget, the Americas region is going to be coming up this weekend. Our friends at Global Sim Racing Channel are going to be revealing the schedule for the 2021 Majors season, so make sure that you tune in for that. And from all of us at SimSpeed TV, we want to thank everyone who's tuned in over the season. We want to thank all of the drivers for the magnificent racing that we've seen all throughout the year. And we want to give our support, as always, to the Susan G. Komen Foundation, breast cancer charity, being supported by this final round of the International Majors Series. From all of us at SimSpeed, I'm Reese Gardner, Ryan Jones in the commentary box with me, and Jay Kennedy directing and on cameras, making everything happen behind the scenes. Bye for now, but not forever. We'll see you in 2021.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
This is very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?